Do you want to just start, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we can get into it if you want, and then you can
I don't
cut it,
care.
or do you have like specific? You want to keep this one shorter than last time, or you want to just roll with it?
No, dude, I'm chilling. I can just talk about whatever. I
Let's
have
go.
no guidelines. I have like four bullet points. I've got lost period post football because I keep hearing guys talk about that. I have current
Mm,
update for both of us. Food, exercise, nootropics slash biohacking, and
mm,
conspiracies slash the noticing, and that's about it.
mm.
So
Let's get
we
into it,
can.
bro. Oh, you got me going today. As long as you can hear me, we can get
Oh,
rolling.
I got you. All right, I'll do a little. All right, here we go. Three, two. Should I do the cloud or the computer? I never know. I don't
Uh,
trust the cloud always, dude.
Probably, I don't know. I haven't used Zoom to record podcasts. I probably should
I
though.
did it last time, dude, and luckily we did the cloud. I'll have to post that sometime, honestly. After like it'll be like the retroactive one. My computer got stolen like right after that, so I recorded one with Mullen to my computer, and it's gone.
That's so shitty.
I know. I got my car got broken into. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh,
damn.
bro.
Yeah, it was so tough. Either way, I'm gonna just do. I did the computer for my podcast, but the cloud I can just download it. Fuck it, I'll just do the cloud this time. Because
Whatever's easier for you.
my computer's been kind of like I gotta take it sometimes like just crash out for a second, so I don't want to risk it.
I got
And
you.
I can send it to you from the cloud too, so you can like take clips or whatever.
Okay. Are you uh are you gonna get your are you is your podcast gonna get rolling? Have you had
Yeah, I
any
recorded my
other
first
guests?
episode last week. Yeah, I've already. It's supposed to come out tomorrow morning.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so this will
That's
be
awesome,
episode
bro.
two,
Dude,
the
podcasts
Curiosity
are
Cast.
that's what you're calling it.
Yeah,
Dude, they're so good for like coaching businesses and just like hidden like you make it one time and you never have to touch it again, bro.
yeah,
It's like something that's just so scalable.
yeah. So I'm excited, and it's just like I've always wanted to do one. All right, let me start it, and we'll just fucking roll.
We're rolling, bro.
All right, now we're recording. No, you're saying I was saying I always want to do a podcast, and then you were getting into how they're so scalable and like I don't know. I guess you can repurpose content, or what do you mean?
Just it's like business wise, like and I don't even like using the word business, but just like in terms of a creation, like
Mm,
if you have a service, like you're providing a service, we both provide services to people.
yep.
It's like I have to be the one to provide that service every single time. But if I create a book or a podcast or something like that, I just create it once, and that thing can, like a lot of people uh, make a lot of money off digital products and stuff. They just create the product once, and then they create the funnel, and then it's just off to the races.
Yeah,
So
and
that's what I like about it. Yeah.
you're right about that because I'm thinking I was talking to like one of my business mentors, or yeah, mentors. But either way, like about like making like a school community for what I do with like weight loss, and then like be able to explain things just super deeply, um, for them because there's obviously a lot of common questions like working with 15 plus people. So whether it's about like tracking food or sleep or exercise, just being able to like click in there and then just having a module of meal prep or a module of training or like you know what I mean. So that'd be like because I have
Yeah.
that all like right now, but it's all like myself when I post some stuff to YouTube or send them links or just I don't know, make it more concise, I suppose.
There's another platform you might want to check out
Okay.
called Nas.io.
No, it's not.
Nas.io.
Okay.
And I think you'll like it. Very similar to school, but I believe it's a little bit more specific to. I mean, I like school. Don't get me wrong. I think Hormozy owns a little bit of it. And
Yeah.
then people make a lot of money with school. They do a lot of promotions and stuff. But nas.io for what you're doing, I think you like it. Maybe just check it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'll check it out. Let me see here. This is what we got here. Can you see my screen? This is it.
it's yellow. I can't see your screen right now though.
Oh, no,
That's
you
it
can't.
right there.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check this out. This seems cool.
Yeah, I
AI
think you can get
templates.
started for free too. And
Oh,
then
word.
yeah, there's different things you could do.
Okay, that's cool.
But
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, your
Um,
niche is really cool, and your business name is sick.
oh, thanks, bro.
I haven't seen anybody else's business name like that.
Oh, thanks,
So,
man.
yeah,
I came
bro.
up with it, I think, in 2022, and I just never had the balls to really go all in with it.
Dude, that business name is sick. For
Oh,
real.
thanks, man.
It makes sense. And like that's the hardest thing when you're starting businesses. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a business expert yet, but like
Neither am I.
I feel like when you're starting early, it's just like communicating to the world how you help them. And
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing. It's like what do you do, bro? And I'm like, oh, I'm a life coach. Like, what the heck's a life coach, bro? Like, what do you do? What do you help me with?
yeah,
And it's like once you communicate that, now everybody's like, oh, heck yeah, that's Clank's brand. That's what I want to go to him for, you know? So I don't know. I
yeah.
get excited when I see your stuff. I'm like, this is just, you're starting to like you're picking up speed here. But,
Thanks, man. I
um,
appreciate it. It's tough to, I don't know. I was always like a privater person. So to like put myself out there, um, on like po for some reason posting, like especially on like Instagram, I feel like for me has been harder than doing something like this. Like I like just chopping it up and talking. I got no problem talking for like an hour or two. Nope. But like I don't know, like typing some stuff out. Maybe it's because I'm not like I don't know. It's just I don't know. I guess just the writing aspect. Even though I like writing, I don't. Maybe my grammar's not perfect, so then I'm like, oh crap. But I don't know what it is. But it's kind of like a mental block I've tried to work through.
well, I
But
mean,
I'm getting better at it now. I'm just like forcing myself to. But in the past,
yeah.
that was definitely a block behind
And
doing
would you
this.
say like where would you say you got most of your new clients from? Do you think it came from social media stuff or was it more just outreach?
Oh, most social media for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just connections. Um, but I think maybe one or two from Twitter, one or two from Facebook, and the rest from Instagram.
Gotcha.
Um,
So,
and
I
then
mean,
some
it's working
referrals.
for you.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's just like, just I can just getting more people and like being able to like help too. I've got a lot more um transformations and like success stories coming out like next week. So um it's just like it's fun. Like it's just like I just get pumped up. I'm just like I don't know. It's I enjoy it. I've always loved doing this, but I just a lot of it was imposter syndrome from whether it wasn't technically studying it in school. Um, and then, like reading all these people and they're like, oh, well, this is PhD, this or that. And I'm just like, well, I don't have that. But like, I've read all those books from those people. I've applied it with multiple people. So then I was like, you know what? It really stemmed from honestly, like I thought I was hoping to go back out firefighting this year, and I just had like a bunch of health issues where I was just like, it just it came down to crunch time in like early May, and I either had to go in May or June for like training, and I just wasn't gonna be able to make it. So then I was just like, well, I don't want to do anything else, so I might as well send it.
Everything happens for a reason, bro.
Yeah, dude,
If you're
100%.
feeling called to do it, and I think the most powerful thing is like it's going to be your testimonials, your
Yeah,
transformations.
yep,
People care about like in that space, there's people that are doctors and their bodies look like shit. It's like I don't want to
yeah,
work with you. Your body looks like
yep,
you don't look good. You know what I
yep.
mean? Show me your transfer. Like the guy who splashes his face in the water, that guy's jacked, bro. People, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
even
yeah,
know.
yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot
I
that
don't
guy.
even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ashton, he just dunks his face in the water. The guy's got millions of followers. He's signing people up. He's got people selling for him, his programs and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah,
it's
he's
all. I
dialed.
mean, and he gets. I think he just blew up just because of what he looks like, and he's doing something different and weird. So I mean, you're going to be set. But I do. I mean, PhDs, they got some knowledge and whatnot, but you'll be off. I mean, you'll be great.
Oh no, I'm good
So,
now. Like I don't know, it's like that Bruce Lee quote. What is it? Like, take what is useful, discard what is not, and then make it your own.
mm,
But that's like, that's kind of how it is. Like I find, doctors or scientists or maybe just people in general in whatever field that I find to be like have high integrity, honest, um, like interesting, just like especially in the health field. Like I like looking back rather than like current studies. I'm like, yo, what were these guys like? I've been seeing studies of like, what are these football players eating in 1910? And it's just like, they're eating whatever 700 grams of carbs a day. I'm like, dude, like this is cool. Or like just seeing like um just the interplay between whatever it may be, like just protein amounts studied between whatever, like eating 2 grams per pound of body weight, and it's just like that works better. But like everyone now is just like optimal, whatever. It's interesting how everything is cyclical. Just in, I mean, as you know, but it's just interesting in health as it goes away too. So it's just like I like looking back and then seeing what are the trends from then until now that just
Hmm.
always seem to be, I don't know, working, and learn from those people, I
Damn,
guess.
that's really cool. They say if you want to read a, if you want a new idea, read an old book.
Dude, yeah.
So that's really cool. What trends do you see in the health space, or like cycles that you see?
Um, I mean, the the quick fixes would be one when it's just whether it's keto, vegan, carnivore, um like the quick fix. Um Back then it was used to be low fat, that was a thing, everything's a low fat back in whatever the 60s and 70s. Before then it was, higher fat whole food, and now obviously whole food is back into play after all this time of
Gotcha.
being fed that you need to eat this and that. But now that whole food's back into play, now it's all about supplements again. And like bodybuilders in like the 60s and 70s used to be taking like 100, like they would be taking legitimately like 50, 60 pills per meal of amino acids or this or that. And it's like, okay, now it's back to like eating healthy, but just like supplementing like crazy. And
Damn.
obviously it's like the green powder's this or this or this and this. And it's like, well, like those seem to be useful, but I don't know, how can you get it from food? And somebody's always trying to make a buck. I think that's the commonality that we've probably seen for thousands of years. But there's always somebody trying to make a buck. So it's like I'm like, all right, like maybe I'll buy from like who's not trying to just force me to like make a buck off me. And it's like, well, probably like the farmer. Like they're growing food and they're selling the food.
Yep.
So it's like, and they've always been consistent throughout time. Um, and of course, I mean, there's variables with farming and whatever it's GMOs or seeds and stuff like that. So that's another whole another realm. But those are some of the
Jeez, man.
cycles, I guess.
That's a whole world. I like
Yeah,
to
that is a
look
whole
at
world.
people, like when I listen to people, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but when I look for nutrition stuff, fitness stuff, I like to look at what people look like
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
go
Practice what they preach.
towards and see how long people have lived for and kind of what those trends are. Um, and
I
then
agree.
I've tested things and I'll test certain things and then I'll just kind of tune in with my energy. Like, how do I feel? Do I feel drained or do I feel like I have more energy? And then do I feel like I look shredded or do I feel like I am starting to get a little pudgy? And I'm like, okay. So I kind of test and then, but I love to hear your thoughts on that process too. When you're trying to filter out like the BS from some stuff that actually works.
I think testing it's the first. I mean, I don't tell a client to do anything I've never done. Um, like I'm not gonna tell like it wouldn't make sense for me. Like I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
like, yeah, do that, and like I hope it works. Like this study said it works, but like what if it doesn't work for you? Then like that comes back on me and their health. Like why would I risk that? Like at least I'm gonna know there's proof out there, and then I've seen it myself. Like physically, I know what's gonna like I can predict what's gonna happen. And when they tell me that's happening, oh my gosh, now I'm eating 4 to 5 meals a day, so I'm hungry in the morning because I'm not eating 2 meals and just 30 minutes before bed chowing down. And it's like I haven't been hungry in 4 years. And then 3 days later, they're like, dude, I was hungry in the morning. And it's like like
Well,
there we go, man. Like, and it's exciting. But yeah, trial and error. I would say I've tried the keto, I've tried the intermittent fasting, I've tried the 1 meal a day, I've tried the carnivore. Um, I've tried all that stuff. I've tried plant-based this or that. Like so, um, I've tried the 3 day fasts, the 1 day fasts once a week, like on every Sunday for like 4 months straight.
okay.
Um,
Well,
so the saunas every day, or trying to hit, like there's this week study and it's like do 90 to 120 minutes a week. Like I do that every week. Um,
okay.
or depending, or I've tried the running and for high cardio for weight loss, or then I've tried no cardio for weight loss. tried the high protein where I'm eating double my body weight, like 400 to 500 grams a day. I've tried less than that. I've tried like close to like just a half and increasing carbs a ton. Um, the one thing I do want to try is the sugar diet, which is kind of popular right now. But I'm on kind of like a health protocol to help fix some stuff. So I'll probably try that next, honestly, because I'm interested in that. Carbs in the absence of fat, which is really
Okay.
interesting. But
Interesting.
then, yeah, and then I look back at historical people. Like I'm reading Arnold's book right now. That's 800 pages, his Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. Like I look at people
Wow.
who really practice what they preach. Like he, like these guys, like the best physiques. Um, how did they train to build muscle? And then, okay, who are some of the best people who are fit in their 80 and 90, like you said, and they're living long. It's like, okay, well, that's important for longevity. So I've got clients who want to just build muscle and look jacked. Well, like I'm going to cater my advice to what I know is going to get you jacked. And then if it's to longevity, well, I'm going to cater advice that's more to longevity. Or if there's health issues, then unfortunately, I've went through a lot of health issues, or I've read a lot about those, or I have family members who've had them, and I've advised them kind of through that. So most of it's trial and error, and then reading it. Like uh, there's a few people like Ray Peat. He's kind of a historical um, guy who's passed, but he was really interesting studying kind of carbohydrates and metabolism, especially metabolism is really interesting. That I think is everyone talks about testosterone now. I think that's a huge thing, but like metabolism, I don't feel like is really talked about enough. So that's something I really work on with improving with most of my guys is metabolism would be massive. Charles Poliquin, he's a guy who's passed away, but he's one of like the smartest exercise scientists, strength coach, nutrition guys. I find him to be really interesting. Stan Efferding, who's a current guy, I find him to be really interesting. I practice. I
Awesome.
mean, I've followed him since I think Sleeve put me on originally in like 2019. He's got a book called The Vertical Diet, so I read that, hit the ebook that Sleeve sent me. Then I bought his book. I referenced that. I mean, I've got like all these post-it notes in here. I reference that all the time. And I've got like a whole stack of, I don't know if you can see. Oh, I got like some, like that's most of my like nutrition books that I'll follow. Um, so that's, yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling, but that's like a lot of what I'll use. Yeah.
You're on it, bro. That
I
is
appreciate it. This is
expert
like,
level work right here. This is what you want to do. Where did
yeah,
this
dude, I'm
stem for
like,
you? Like where did
where did it
this
stem from me?
yeah, like where did it be like this is what I want to do or this is what I want my passion to be? Like when did that like start happening for you where you're like I want
Yeah,
to solve this problem?
I can tell you exactly when. Right after my junior year of high school, I became
Oh, really?
obsessed. Yeah, I became obsessed. So even before then, like I was always obsessed with physical training and pushing myself. Not as much nutrition, but I always wanted to play football once I started playing football. Um, I think eighth grade, seventh grade is my first year playing football. I begged my parents for years to play football, but I would always be reading like military books, like that's one of my books over there. It's like the Army's physical training manual. So like, what do they do for conditioning? Because I always wanted to go in the military. I thought that was like, I wanted to be a special operator, or something of that sort, maybe a Marine. So I was always interested in like physical training, like pushing myself really hard. Like I remember my dad, like I missed like the first couple days of training camp in seventh grade. So he took me to the football field over like from my house, and I was just running like these massive hills where like people
Oh,
like sledding down. Like I remember somebody passed away because they were sledding down, hit the school. Like that's how steep these. And I was just running these hills.
no way.
Yeah, so I was just running them like solo, no music. I was in seventh grade. I mean, that's I don't know what it was, like 2011, just running. And like, but then
Jeez.
I was just like, I gotta like lock in, dude. And I wasn't a good football player for a while. Um, and I was young for my grade. Like I was always kind of like almost a year behind a lot of the guys. So then by junior year of high school, this is when it kind of kicked off. I'm getting to it, but it kicked off because I was playing. I was mostly a D lineman, but I was just I don't know an average like white guy. I was 6'3", like 220. Just like I wasn't anything special. We had a three down line, so I was playing like a four eye, three tech four eye, subbing in the games, wasn't starting, or maybe once I don't even remember, and then would sub in on O line too. And one of our tackles was like kind of struggling throughout the year, so I would throughout the year like I was always on scout D line because I wasn't playing on O line, so I was subbing in on D line, and then I'd be playing against I was a scout D line and going in starting O line and just be like just causing fights, just causing chaos all the time. And then eventually they started putting me into games as an O lineman, and I did well. Like we played against Victor with like Nowitzki and
Zach.
Lefebvre, and then we played
Yeah.
against Aquinas. Yep. Yeah, Zach, and then we played against Aquinas with Taylor, and then they had the DN Jameer Jones. They were stacked, so we had a few teams. We had a Rush Henrietta, who was a quarterback, Jared Gerbino, who was a beast at Dartmouth. So there was a bunch of like talent, and I was just able to play solid, and I didn't like stand out or anything, but I just didn't like I was in there and I was able to block the guys okay, and like didn't mess up. And my coach, like Coach Molnich, Jake's dad, after the season was like, if you bulk, like you could actually play college. And before then, I was always set on going to the Marines. Even that summer, I went to pre-Marine boot camp and stuff called Boy State in New York. So I was set on doing that, and then bulked up. So I was 230 at the end of that season. Trying to think. Yeah, I think after that too. After that, yeah. So it was a few because I was 230. I was like, I need to bulk up. So I started weighing in. My gym teacher was my offensive coordinator and O line coach. So every week for gym class, I'd weigh in on every Friday, and I was just putting on like 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds a week. And before you know it, it was like New Year's. My mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. So then by then I was like double locked
Mm,
in because I was just like my dad's. He was a franchise owner for Tim Hortons, so he was like just getting after it all the time. I was taking care of like I was driving my brothers around, and I was just locked in. I was like, I gotta. And then from there on, I was like, I'm going to play football at UB. I saw Glenn, Jake's older brother, play. I was like, I'm gonna go walk on there, get a starting spot eventually, whatever. So that was my goal, like off rip. I remember English class, wrote that down in my journal, and was just visualizing that. And then by senior year, football I was 290, so I gained 60 pounds in a year. And during that whole time, I was obsessed with watching like these bodybuilding guys, nutrition guys, strong men, power lifters, and I was just learning how to do nutrition, learning what like the macronutrients, micronutrients, calories, everything. So from there on, and I started to help guys in high school, like trying to get big. I'd be helping them with the YMCA, just like, training my buddies for like a half an hour, giving them
wow.
like writing them little meal plans like on notebooks and stuff, and be like, all right, if you're gonna gain weight, eat this. You're trying to cut down, like I'd just be, I'd be meal prepping. So I'd bring lunch to school, or I'd like bring multiple meals, and I'd be tracking all my calories in my fitness pal. So I was dialed in by like after midway through junior year. Yeah. And then ever since
Holy
then, I've
man.
been dialed in. Yeah, that's like even when I was working the past few years from college, and even during college, I mean, I'm sure every day for the past 10 years, I've probably spent an hour or two a day just watching YouTube seminars or podcasts. And um, that's yeah, that's all. And I've recorded I've got like probably almost 10 journals of my workouts and nutrition. Yeah. So
You've
it's
been
always been like
preparing
my
for this,
hobby.
man. You've been
Yeah, I've
preparing
always
for
loved
this
this,
for a
dude.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like to, when I talk to people about like athlete transition stuff, a lot of people think you have to start from the beginning, but there's a lot of times like that being an athlete is only like a small part of your purpose. And there's probably some things that that have happened in your life that have prepared you for this for a long time. And it sounds like
Yeah.
this has been something that has been part of your journey for a long time, like getting you ready for this moment now. And it's sick what you're doing. So
I appreciate it, man.
I was on the, I mean, I saw Max post on the story. Yep, I'm working with Clank. He's getting me right with here. I was on the phone with Jake. He's like, yeah, bro, I'm getting ready. Cause I went to go visit Jake in California. And
Yeah. I saw him too. I saw him in November. Yeah, hell
I
yeah.
freaking love Jake. Love
Yeah,
Jake's
dude.
the man. Jake's going to be so successful with film.
Hell
And
yeah.
we went to the grocery store and we went shopping and stuff. And he's like, Dom, do you want this? And I was like, I don't know, Jake. I don't know about that. So he told me, he's like, I'm working with Clank. I was like, yes, Clank's going to get you right, bro. So, but I mean, Jake's like you fucking train in the gym. Like Jake's in the gym. He's in the gym.
Bro, he's like double, triple my strength, man.
Dude,
Man, I'm
he's in
like,
the
oh
gym.
my goodness, he's so strong, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun training. It's fun like helping him now. Like the first week we were working together, I was just doing nutrition, and then he's like, all right, can you do like can you write up my leg workouts? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, all right, these are killer. Let's just do. And so now I'm just writing up all of his training. So it's fun like taking over that and like helping him with that. It's
Incredible,
enjoyable.
man.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, it's a
people.
fun time.
Good
Oh yeah,
people.
dude. I love staying connected with the boys.
Dude, I look at who we had at Buffalo, coaches too, coaches
Yeah.
and athletes, and I'm just like, I don't know if it's like the blue collar, being in a blue collar city, but just like we know how to work. Like everybody that I got a chance to be with, whether it's on the basketball side or the football side, they know how to work, and they have they got drive and stuff. So
Oh
I
yeah.
miss being around all the guys, but It's really cool. I didn't even know that it was eighth grade. I thought you were gonna say I got done playing and this is what happened, but this sounds like something
No.
you've been doing for a while. So that's
Yeah,
sick.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's always been kind of my like, and I love cooking too. I came from a family of working in restaurants. My family's got a restaurant in Buffalo. I grew up working at Tim Hortons where I'd be making some straight bulk meals, um, like making my own breakfast sandwiches with hash browns as buns and two sauces, like or whatever it was. Ripping espresso. I was working the drive-through at 5 a.m. on the weekend or something. So I was just like, I don't know. That's just the like the way I learned, and like the hard work. I think, yeah, like at least for me, I learned from like my parents too. Like my dad, just like seeing him, he'd be working like Tim Hortons was open 24/7, so sometimes he'd be in there like really late if somebody called off, and then he'd be in sometimes if the baker called off at 3 a.m., or we'd be going in together on like a Saturday morning, and I'd be working the
Wow.
drive through at like 5 a.m. and I was like, dude, like I do not want to go in this morning, but like
Family
I got to
business.
do it. And I was like 14, but they were like, oh, everyone, because like your family, you can work when you're younger, so it was funny. It was just like I'd be working in the draft there, and they'd be like, oh, what are you 17? I was like, no, I'm like a freshman, like eighth grade or some shit, and it was it was hilarious.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but
What a
that's
journey.
so key. Your environment is so important. Like that's even something now. I'm trying to figure out kind of the. Cause I was living in Oregon, now I'm back in Western New York, so I'm like trying to figure out the environment next for kind of health and fitness or where I want to be. But it's so important. I'm sure you've thought of that too.
It is. It is. I think, yeah, I'm thinking about the same thing right now. Me personally, it's like I know where I want to be, but for me anyway, sometimes on my journey, I have been like called to be in a certain place.
Sure.
And it's like when I was done in Alabama, I was like, I kind of want to move to Florida. I kind of want to do this. And then Chicago happened, and I was like, I have to go. Like, this is too perfect not to go. This is like, it makes sense. And so I do think, though, the people you surround yourself with, it's important to make sure that you know, get the right people around you because they affect you a lot for
Yeah.
sure.
And we're both
So
trying to level up. Like a lot of people just at post college, they're kind of, you know, they kind of just that's what it is until 65 retirement. It's kind of the same routine, same thing, and
mm,
it's just like, we're not really interested in that.
no,
Um, so it's and they're probably like a lot of them good great people, but it's just like I'm not like it's just kind of growing in different directions, I suppose, which sometimes can be hard, but no loss, it's just kind of the way it is.
yeah, I think there's people for us at every level,
Yep.
and some people can't. They don't want to go to that level, and that's okay. And when you get to that level, there's people there for you at that level, and you love everybody. Everybody's a soul, so you love
Yeah,
everybody at every level.
absolutely.
But you have to, know how some souls affect you. So I feel you for sure. I mean, I have personal experience with that, so it's hard. So it's hard letting some people go sometimes, or just distancing yourself a little bit. It's painful, very
Hmm.
painful.
Yeah,
So
it's like that lonely chapter that Hormozy always. I see like Hormozy, Chris Williamson, all those people. I don't know if you've seen them talk about that, but that's like, yeah, it's a real thing.
I saw
Yeah.
I don't know if I sent this to you on TikTok or not, but I sent it to
Mhm.
as many of our former guys as possible, and it's just this dude saying, um, it's like when you got to UB as a walk on. The
Mhm.
first couple years, you're eating shit. You're younger than all the rest of the guys. You're going through freshman year of school. You're getting beat up in practice, all this stuff. And then what happens? Year 5, 6, I think it's 5, maybe 6. They're all 6, right?
Yeah.
You're all 6. You're
Oh
one
yeah.
of the very few that was there all 6 with us. But you get the 6th year and you're starting,
Yeah.
and captain, you're walking out with a handshake, and teams relying on you, and now you're like the guy.
Mhm.
And then what happens? You get done, you're back to eating shit again, and you're like, all right, right? And then you're like, all right, what the heck do I do? You're at the beginning of years of college, figure out what the next step is. And then you're like, okay, I got a business going. Then boom, 2 years from now or a year from now, the business is like first million, first 10 million. And then it's like you get to that level and all the like 50 million, 100 million guys are like, bro, you're
Yeah.
not shit, bro. Like you
Yeah.
you You're still just coaching people one-on-one. Like, I'm doing this group stuff. I got all these
Yeah,
products. I got all this.
masterminds. Yeah,
Yeah, I got
yeah,
all this real estate investing.
yep.
And you're like, oh shit, man, here I go. Now I got to go to another level, So, but I think that the always striving to the levels and the continuous growth, lifelong learning, or whatever you want to call it, is like that's what keeps you alive. You know what I mean? It's like you want to go to the next level. Like,
Hmm.
shoot, what happens when you get 100 million? It's like, okay, like now I want to impact. I want to use that impact tons of people, and then I want to get to whatever. It's like it's just levels, and it's not just money. It's family, it's impact, it's legacy. It's maybe one day you're gonna want to write a book, or maybe you're gonna want to turn all your podcasts into like some type of AI system or something. I don't know, but
Hmm.
it's just that continuous growth. It's just some people are missing that, and we gotta have that, man. We got to.
Yeah, I think it's within everybody. It's just like, are you going to take the leap? It's in there for, and a lot of the systems that we're indoctrinated within tend to, just like weed kill. It's getting sprayed all over. You gotta like try to avoid it or just survive it because like, they don't that growth and that mindset, requires more than what you were told. It requires looking within, looking outside yourself. Um, but the system that we're in is not designed, um, or does not teach us, or does not encourage us to do what we do by any means, in my opinion. So, and that's I mean that's a multifaceted aspect of whether you talk about spiritual or educational or physical, financial, um, all of it. So it's like it's got to be a conscious effort to uh to do it, and then once you're and you, chances are 99.9% of us are born into that. So um, when you get hit by that and you realize like, oh, like, oh, this is BS, like you kind of wake up to the matrix, then you got like you got to take the red pill, like you got you gotta go, like you and it's hard, um because when you see it, you don't take it, because I've been there, and it's way harder. Like, and I think that's why everyone's so depressed and anxious and angry, because like they like I think internally they know they're called to do something more, but they didn't do it,
Mm,
um, or they didn't do it themselves, or they didn't believe in what they're called to do, even though it's within your soul, it's within your spirit. Like I think, what's the book by Stephen Pressfield, um, and it's what's it called?
the art of or the
The
war
art,
of art.
yeah, The War of Art. That's such a banger book, dude. I read that in 2023 before going out to Oregon, and I knew, like, I remember reading it next to Lake Erie, probably in April, and I was reading it in my car, and I was just like, and I was just like a stuck point, and I'm reading it, and it's like talking about the muse, talking about, like,
Hmm.
and I was reading Mastery by Robert Greene, and I was just like, man, I want to do like weight loss coaching podcasting, and I just like didn't have I knew what I wanted to do, and I felt like bummed out. I wasn't even depressed. I was just because I had spiritually I was staying strong, so like I was just like, man, like I'm not where I want to be, and like I knew what I wanted needed to do, and that was about a year ago, more than a year ago, and then I finally took the leap like 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. Um, so it's like, yeah, you have to like choose to do it, man, and it's tough. Even like every day in Oregon, I thought like we'd go on flyers for 14 days. I'd come back, I'd be going to Starbucks just to like get out of the because we'd be camping, just laying on the ground, whatever, for a few weeks. So I'd get out of Dodge for like my apartment for a day and be like journaling, just be like, yeah, I gotta do this. But I just like it almost took me to be like forced to
Mm.
do it, which is crazy. Yeah.
I um there's a guy, I can't remember his name. I'm disrespecting him by not remembering his name with this, but it's the hero's journey.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah, Joseph Campbell. Yeah, yeah.
Joseph Campbell, and that first part of the hero's journey is when you get the call
Yep.
and you refuse the call. Most people refuse the call. I refused the call for a year too. Believe it or
Yep.
not, at the end of my fifth year in college, I had a conversation with my mom, and I was going through like one of the hardest dark night of the soul times of my life. And I
Yep.
was having a conversation with my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm ready to be done playing football. I don't know what it is, but I'm ready to be done."
Yeah.
And I called Coach White. So I said, "Coach, I think I want to maybe get into coaching, or I want to get into teaching or something." He said,
Hmm.
"Maybe you should talk to Oates." So I called Oates, and I knew I wanted to be done back then, but I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, "Yeah, like, should I go back or not? Like, I don't know." Year goes by, we come back at the 6th year. I don't regret it at all. I probably wasn't even ready to take the call at that time, anyways. And if I was, God probably would have led me to it. But I got led back to another 6th year. Goes back another year. I'm in the exact same spot where I was, like literally the exact same, at my mom's house, at the table, $47 in my bank account, no clue what to do, and just know I want to be done playing football. And I had the opportunity. It was like, oh, maybe CFL. Do you go do the you? I didn't even do I didn't do the pro day. I didn't do the pro day because I just knew that's what I had to. I had this call, and exactly like you said, sometimes you feel forced to do it. It's
Hmm.
like, all right, listen, God, show me what I gotta do.
Yep.
Like, you want me? Because that voice never goes away. That
Hmm.
voice will never go away. If your voice was telling you a year ago that you need to do weight loss coaching, a year goes by, 2 years go by, the voice is still there.
Oh yeah.
Some people have been hearing the same voice telling them that they need to sing a song or sing for the past 10 years, and they haven't been singing. They've just been listening to other people sing. And then they watch those people on social media have all these followers and have all this money. And that's why they're exactly what you're saying. They're depressed because they're like, in your case, maybe it's like you're looking at like Hormozy or something, somebody that's built these gyms and everything. It's like, man, like I know I could do that. He's not that much stronger than me. He's not that much smarter than me. Like I know I can become that, but you're not because you're not taking action on it. And the same people with singing and everything like that. So I agree with you. That's where the depression comes from. In your heart, you know you have a gift. You know you're supposed to do something. And this voice, I like to call it your heart and mind are connecting. Your
Hmm.
mind's scared. Your mind tries to keep you safe. Your
Hmm.
heart knows what you're supposed to do, but your heart doesn't yell at you. Your heart just whispers to you.
Hmm.
Social media, you know, your phone, your family, music, everything you hear, everything in the outside world, that's all yelling at you, and it's going into your mind, and your mind's like, yeah, I'm trying to stay safe. I don't know, put myself out there, announce to the world that I have a business. Ah, man, hell no, that's crazy. I got all my family and friends. They're gonna think I'm weird. Some people are, they're all sheep, so they don't know what's going. No, it's just we all go through that.
Yep.
But your heart's like, hey, bro, like, you should do this. You should do this. You should do this. And the mind's like the older brother telling the younger brother, it's like, man, shut up, bro. Shut up. I'm
Hmm.
not doing that. You stupid. You stupid. You stupid. And then when we listen to the heart and then life, it's easy, bro. Shit happens for you. Who knows? You have a podcast now. Who knows? You might have somebody on the podcast that you really look up to in this space. Might blow the podcast up. All these clients. Who knows what happens, bro? Who knows? The heart has a mysterious way of working out. So,
Yeah.
but I agree with you. It affects your mental. When you go against your heart, it affects everything. Like not just your mental, you should do it mentally, but in your body you start to feel not good enough.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you start to feel not good enough? You start to look not good enough. And you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't like myself. And it's just everything plays off each other. So, man, if you're out there, if you're listening to this, you got to go with your heart, man. It's freaking it's what's going to take you to the promised land. So I'm passionate
Yeah.
about that, bro, because you got to go after that thing. And it's so scary, too. It's so scary. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do.
It is.
So,
I was
yeah.
more scared. I was more scared to do this, like start my business, than go firefight where like trees are like it's 3 a.m. Trees are coming down. You don't even know where they're coming down, and you're running around with like 40 gallons of gasoline just burning, and like there's a regular massive fire, whatever, 50,000 acre like fire, and then you're a couple hundred acres between it, like burning this off so it doesn't spread. Like I jumping around, like can't see anything. Trees like, and I was way more scared doing this than that. Like I wasn't, I don't know. It was just funny. Like it's, um, but yeah, I think like you're right. Like what you're really scared to do, what your mind's scared to do is what your heart is whispering you to do. And when you don't do it, yeah, I think your body gets poisoned. Um, because that's something that happened to me, and I don't think that was a coincidence. And I was talking to somebody else about that. I don't know who, but like this, since I got back from firefighting, like my health has been a wreck. Um, and like in the hospital, like trying to figure out what the heck's going on, heart, autoimmune, thyroid, stomach, just like a bunch of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it might just be over. Like maybe it's just this is all we got. And then luckily I got in contact with like a great like functional holistic kind of like doctor and nutritionist and all that, and things been uptick. And so when I started to kind of feel better health wise, I just went into it with this, and I think they all correlate for sure. Yeah,
I
it's
think that's
crazy.
important to note because a lot of times people see social media and they might see the videos and stuff, but I think what people really relate to is the pain that we go through. You know, like
Yeah.
it sounds like you, before you even started this thing, you came off a painful period where you just, I'm curious what happened for you. And then I've experienced, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've experienced where I feel like I'm living on levels. Some people like to say dimensions. You're living on dimensions. And when you go from one to the next, you through that, like it's almost like you're getting pulled up and you have to shed all the stuff from that one. And I felt it physically where I literally feel sick. I feel like I'm throwing up, like sick. But I also feel spiritually, I'm like, okay, I'm going to the next level though. This may be a sign. Did you go through that? And like what was happening for you when you were going through that painful time? Like how was that for you?
Um, so it was a slow build up ever since my last year of football, honestly, of health issues, and I think they probably correlated with a lot of things, not even just my calling, but like relationships that didn't weren't meant to be, or things that whether I was or wasn't doing that I just knew in my heart. What Not listening to my heart, I think led to my body in a lot of pain. Um, I think that was massive. I think like you meant there's a few things, but I think consumption, like you mentioned, is a way to mask what the heart is saying, consuming content or things, and not actually like looking within. Because when you look within, that's when you get in contact with your spirit, your heart. Um, what's really your calling? I think so many people get just let me consume this or consume this, and it's like there might be content that's beneficial, right? But like with at the end of the day, what you should do. Um, so like don't blur that out. Like if you know what you should do, turn this podcast off and go do it. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like that's really like the take home. But for me, yeah, health wise, it kind of was a slow build up of I had like a lot of skin issues, which I think dates back to like fungal infection. I don't know how I got that mold, which I tested positive for after working with these people, but that dated back to like mid high school. But then really like, and I was on antibiotics for probably since sophomore year of high school until the end of my football career. So until played 6 years, probably 9 years of antibiotics. So I'm sure that ripped my stomach straight. Um,
Yeah.
and but then throughout college, once in a while I'd have like some heart kind of chest pain and stuff, and but I never and I've had family kind of history of that stuff, but I never had um no answers from it. I got like put whatever like slowly, I don't know how to describe it, like got I don't know put to sleep whatever medicine they give you, and then they put like tubes down your throat, look at your heart throat, and that would happen in college because like I was like had some really sharp chest pains once in a while. But then senior year I got mono right before the season. I was in the best shape I've ever been in. I hurt my back right before, herniated a few discs. Come off like the year previously, had a bunch of injuries, some of which I didn't even get fixed surgically because they're misdiagnosed as usual.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, and then I got mono, and this was in 2021, and I lost like 30 pounds in like 2 or 3 weeks, and was gonna get approved to come back like the Tuesday before our Friday game or something like that. So then I ended up gaining a good amount of weight back. Um, During that time, I was forced to take the COVID vaccine really against my will, against my spirit,
Mm.
which I think is criminal. Um, and I'm sure that didn't help. I took, luckily, not an mRNA one, But uh, I think that, yeah, I think that was criminal. I don't know how any of these institutions that forced players to take that aren't, um, you know, well, it's a corrupt system. Our government's corrupt. That's why they get charged. But either way, so I was, I had mono, so my immune system was severely um, compromised. And then I asked the training staff about it. Of course, they said, yeah, you're fine, um, because yeah, it's a corrupt system. Um, and then from there, throughout the season, I didn't feel like myself, man. Like I didn't feel like myself. And kudo, like we had like um during that season some really good trainers like Brian Broad and Andy Blizz. But I remember talking to
Hmm.
Andy. Like I remember, and that was tough too. Like just that whole season. Like I was burnt out before it. I was burnt out by week one.
I think
Um,
everybody was.
yeah. So like that was, uh, there's things overtraining, and that definitely occurred. I think mentally and physically for
Mm.
most people in the building. Um, but it just continued to culminate. So then throughout the season, I remember after Coastal Carolina, I went into Andy's office and I just like broke down. I was just like, I
Mm.
don't know what else. Like I don't know. Like I just like I'd never felt like that before. Like I didn't feel like I had energy. I just didn't. And I was like, it was a really hard year physically. I didn't really practice all year. Um, I was taking like injections into my back. Um, for pain, and then taking Toradol and like other painkillers and for the games, and then taking muscle relaxers um, during the week to sleep, and then using other things too. Um, so it was that wasn't great mentally, but I just didn't feel like myself. Like I just felt sick ever from that point. So then after the season, I still felt that way, and I lost weight. Thought about documenting it. Like that time, I was like, I'm gonna do a I'm gonna like document this on YouTube, man.
Yeah.
Right in like December, I was thinking that, and I was like, I'm gonna drop like whatever. The goal was 225 by graduation, which I ended up hitting. But I was gonna like, I'm gonna put this on YouTube, but I just didn't have the confidence, and I didn't do it. And that probably, that's of course impacted my body, because I wasn't listening to my heart, like you said. It kind of poisoned me. So like throughout that time, I didn't. I posted once in a while, like on Instagram story, but like I never like did it
I
even though I
remember.
knew what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
lost the weight, and like people would see me in person, like, yo, what the heck? Like, and I would post like a picture once in a while on Instagram, but it wasn't like transformation pictures. It was just like me living, and then people would be like, yo, what? But I always wanted to do that ever since I gained weight. Like when I went to 290, 230 to 290, I knew after that I was cutting down. Like I want to be like fit. Like I don't want to be that big. I wasn't naturally that big. Um, so then, but like throughout that time, I was getting super cold. Um, and I didn't feel right. Like my stomach was really messed up. So then I worked at I took a job I didn't want, did like corporate sales jobs because that's what I was qualified for from my doing like grad school and business and stuff. So did that, was just even more miserable. So once again, not listening to my heart. Um, and then they're like, I got blood tests. They're like, yeah, your testosterone's low. Maybe you should think about taking like testosterone replacement. And I was like, I'm not taking testosterone replacement at whatever 23. So then I just kept going through with that, got retested, stayed the same thing. Um, and then throughout like that next year, I was just like continually thinking about like doing it. But I just in my heart, like I was just relationship wise wasn't listening to my heart. Job wise wasn't listening to my heart, and my body kept continually getting sicker and sicker. Then by the next year, like I was by far like the most depressed I've ever been in 2023. My stomach was a complete wreck. Like I was so bloated. I was still like down on weight, but I just like I was eating healthy and stuff, but like I was just like my stomach was destroyed. I was be wearing like a winter hat in like the summertime because I was freezing inside my house. Like my body, like thyroid wasn't even working. Like, got a colonoscopy and an endoscopy to try to see if I had like Crohn's or something, or ulcerative colitis. Didn't have it, and I was like, dude, I don't know what's wrong with me. Um, so then I just like I went to Wagner. I felt better as I was coaching there. Like I felt fulfilled, but I started working there I think in late June, and by like early August I was like, yeah, like this, I don't want to do this. Um, so I finished out the rest of the season, and like I loved helping the guys. Like it was great. But as you like know, and you experienced coaching before I did, but like it wasn't what I thought it was going to be in the terms
Hmm.
of helping the actual players. It was more of a business and a lot of like leapfrogging aspects of trying to just move up in the industry where it felt transactional, not like really trying to build up people or transform, you know,
Hmm.
athletes. So that's why eventually I did this because it's not just transactional, it's like really transformative. But after Wagner was done, I got certified as a nutritionist trainer because I always wanted to do that stuff. But then I just didn't like I wasn't challenged enough. I was like coaching high school strength. I was a high school strength coach in Rochester. I was working at a gym helping some people, but they were just like regular. They weren't like athletes or anybody. They were just like regular people. And like I liked helping them, and I loved like making some crazy workouts for them, like doing like drop sets or like just some like fun stuff like that they'd never done, like rest pauses or just like supersetting giant sets, like all this kind of like bodybuilding and like athletic principles. And they were just like, what the heck? And like, so it was really fun. But I just like, I don't know, like I just didn't feel at home with it. And I didn't really dive into it like online, which I wanted to do, and like help people lose weight. I just still didn't have the confidence for it. So then I moved to Buffalo, started helping out my family's restaurant, kind of doing some like daytime managing and behind the scenes work. And then I just sent it to Oregon. Was a wildland firefighter. I loved it, honestly. I really did. I still knew it wasn't like my like true path, but it was I finally like broke out of like just doing stuff I knew was wrong for me. Like this, I was like,
Mm,
this is pretty sick. I knew maybe it wasn't long term what I wanted to do, but I knew out there like I was just being me. Like I nobody knew me as a football player, nobody knew me as a football coach. They just knew there's this big dude from New York, the New York big man, so they say. And I would just, it was fun. Like I just got to apply myself physically, and I didn't feel my best, and like I had some foot injuries and like still stomach issues and stuff, and kind of like whatever chronic fatigue syndrome and stuff. But like we'd work 14 days, and we'd work in like be 200-hour paychecks for every 2 weeks, so about 100 hours a week of work. Um, so we are in the camping outside, no tent, probably 80% of the time, or 80%. So I've slept outside, I don't know, for like 6 months basically, and loved it. It was all outside and on mountains, and hear mountain lions or coyotes or elk sheds, or we're almost picking up a rattlesnake, and like so it was just a completely different
wow.
life, and I loved it. And I knew like, okay, this probably isn't long term, and like I thought about staying, getting certified to like cut down trees and just be like a lumberjack, just like be a logger, or like just on fires. Like you're cutting down trees on fire. And I was like the guy holding the gasoline, and they would cut trees, and then I'd be the one throwing the logs. So I was called a swamper, just getting after it. And I just loved it.
Holy.
I just loved it. And but then
Wow.
I got back, and by the end of the season, my body was just cooked. Even like I stayed like every like 14 days, as we call it, like a tour. So I stayed for like two more tours than I thought I was going to. I booked a flight to come back in like September, and I got a call at like 3 a.m. And my roommate was like, "What if you get a call at 3 a.m. tonight? Like you to go?" And I was like, "I don't know, man." And I had my flight booked for 6 a.m. I got a call at 3 a.m. Fire call. We're going to freaking I don't know, like 9 hours north in the middle of like the high desert. And I was like, "All right, I'm going. I cancel my flight." Go on the fire,
Jeez.
and it was wild. And like then it was Bigfoot stuff, but that's another story. But then eventually came back, and just I went down, saw views, and I drove across the country. I sold my car out there because it was beat up. So sold my car out in Oregon, got a rental, drove to LA, saw views, drove across the country in November, and then came back and was like, I need to rest for a few weeks, man. Like I don't feel right. I haven't felt right. My feet are messed up. Um, and it stunk not being able to perform at like a high level. Like, and all you do is
Yeah.
hike. You have a 50-pound pike pack on your back. All you do is hike. And like, I was 240, 250, but I was like a top 5, 6 hiker on the crew of 20 people. Like I was moving, and I was in shape because before that I was running a lot. So I was like running up to half marathons and stuff. So I was in good shape, um, cardiovascular wise, and my feet were just wrecked. And I ended up having some nerve issues that I'm still trying to figure out. But I got back in November, rested for like a month, got a new truck, had a bunch of money saved up, was like, all right, I'm good. Like I need to figure out what to do. And I was just like, I never like recovered. So I got some blood tests done in December, met with like a telehealth clinic in January, got the results back. I remember like talking to my mom about it, I just like broke down. I was like, and it like showed all these like heart scores wrong, this, that. And then they basically like, yeah, you got this thing called Hashimoto's autoimmune disease. So then I started up all these medications, some like synthetic thyroid hormones. I was taking like injections every day of like glutathione, NAD, L-carnitine. That's terrible. Like I don't know how people inject themselves every day.
Yeah.
Like it was terrible, and like trying to do it on like the shoulder or like the glute, and like yeah, I don't know. But I was taking all these medications. That was terrible. And then eventually, by like March, I was still doing it, and I spent a bunch of money on it because it was out of insurance. Because like I tried to go to my doctor, they didn't help. They were just like, "You look good," and I was just like, "I'm not good."
Yeah.
And I still felt so sick. So then I hit up another clinic called Rise, who I heard of a few years ago, and I did some stool sampling and some urine sampling, and I gave them all my blood tests, and then they're like, dude, you got like a bunch of these stomach infections, fungal infections, and we think we can fix it all in like 4 months just by like doing some detoxes and stuff like that. So I started like a 4 phase like treatment therapy for detoxing, whether using like I'm probably taking like 20, 30 supplements, but like whatever, like charcoal binders, adaptogens, a bunch of different like herbal extracts, roots, stuff like that. And I'm like a little more than halfway through that right now, and so I started that in beginning April, and then once I knew my feet weren't going to recover, I did cortisone injections a few times in both feet, and my right one still hasn't recovered. So maybe I'll do like PRP. Went to PT, just still hadn't gotten right. So I knew I couldn't go firefight because that was kind of like the fallback. I was like, now I know I can firefight if I feel good, and it just wasn't going to time up. And then a few weeks of doing my treatment, I started to feel good. I started to lose some inflammation, so I just like felt better. I looked better. I was more confident, and I was like, all right, man, I'm just gonna. I saw this guy who's like a business coach online called his name's Harrison, um, and I saw like I was on his like email list through school for like a year, and because his account was called Save Your Sons, and it was just like a cool account, and it was always like if you're trying to start a business, like just like solo entrepreneur business, and I was like I hit him up, like met with him, explained what I wanted to do, and then invested in that, and I was like all right, I'm just sending it, and then I just started posting, and I've continued to feel better, so it's been cool, man. Yeah, it's a long-winded
That's
answer, but yeah.
incredible. So you feel, because you look really good right now,
Appreciate it.
and
Yeah.
your skin looks clear, and it sounds like you did some detoxes, which I'm a little curious about. But um,
Yeah.
where would you say you feel now out of 10 compared to where you were at your lowest?
At my lowest, I thought I was gonna die. So that was pretty low. I went to the ER a few times. I thought I was just like, I don't know. I thought I was just cooked. Like I had some like really bad chest pains. I was like, I'm gonna be on. I don't know if I was like a heart attack or what, but I went to the ER a few times. Like I could barely walk. I couldn't work out for like weeks. Um, I wasn't really hungry or anything. Like I was just like done. I was just remember at the wedding I went down, and I was still like in the midst of my treatment when I saw
Yeah,
you and a bunch of guys in March, and I was like kind of in the midst of the treatment, and like it was be like I'd feel horrible for like 10 to 14 days, feel good, or like I don't know, feel like back to somewhat decent for like 2 to 5 days, and then kind of just rinse repeat. And luckily I felt decent there, but it was tough. So I was probably like I don't know if like 10, 20%, probably like 65, 70. I'd probably say somewhere around there.
that's
But we're
awesome. And
getting
you
there.
just started
Yeah,
your business how many weeks ago? 6 weeks now?
yeah,
You
something
just
like
sent it
that.
all in? Yeah.
Yeah,
You really started it in, 8th grade or whenever. You just
yeah,
it's now it's like it's an entity, it seems like. So
yep.
wow. You know what? First of all, it's been a journey that you've been on. So just incredible everything you've gone through. I just recorded a solo podcast called Dealing with Pain.
Mm,
And I think that some of the most successful people take their pain and they turn it into something,
mm.
a service, a product, something that they're just like, I'm fed up with this shit. And I want to take this, and I don't want other people to experience this pain. So I want to help people, and they create a product or they create something, and then they become massively successful.
Hmm.
And Hormozy says this. He says there's three ways you can start a business. You can start a business from a former career, from a passion, or from pain. And he says what he finds in the businesses that he works with and owns, and they got acquisition.com and all this stuff, is some of the most successful people is they started from a pain, and the pain turns into a purpose. And I could
Hmm.
see the purpose that you have behind what you're doing right now, which is sick to look at
No, I
and just
appreciate it.
observe and see it. Another thing that's really cool to me is the transformation that you went through, documented. I could see it is not just a physical transformation, it's a spiritual transformation. And I both, it's like our souls are inside of our bodies, they're not separate, you know what I mean? Like maybe when you go to sleep it goes up and it comes back or whatever you want to believe, but they're connected when we're alive. And you know what I mean, like your
Yep.
soul is part of your body. So if you're spiritually not in tune with yourself, your body's going to feel it. And if your body if you're not treating your body the right way, your spirit is going to feel it. And I am just, through your story you just said, and I really hope you turn these into some clips, because these are what's going to help you. I mean, I don't know, you got under control, but these clips are powerful. They're very, very powerful. But just the spiritual and physical transformation that you've been through, just, I'm over here listening. I'm like, there's no better person to help linemen transform, because it's not just going to be a physical transformation. You've gone through the spiritual transformation, and that's what they need too. It's not just a physical transformation that they need. It's not just go to a trainer. I see athletes online, and they're working their ass off. They're in the gym, they're doing things, they're just working just like they were when they were an athlete. But I can tell their bodies aren't, I know their body's not how they want to be, and how they want to look. And I know the type of work they're doing is like slightly off from what they really want to do. And it's because they're missing that spiritual side of it. And so that transformation you went through, one, is incredible, and two, it qualified. It's like you're the right person for the job for this. So that's really cool, bro. I'm serious. That's sick.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I haven't really talked about it much because it's just, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to post about that. You know what I mean? Like, what do I? Yeah, but it was but yeah, that was
This
it
makes it
was a
more.
long.
This makes it easier.
It does. That's why
It's
I'm
a
like,
podcast.
yeah, it's easier to just like talk. You know what I mean? Just talk. Um, but yeah, it was. And what you were saying too about athletes that connected with me. Um, about like, and can you kind of like talk more about that? Like their training doesn't like align with their spirit. Like, what do you mean by that?
I don't know if it's the train that aligns with the spirit, but there's this guy I looked at. He's a former athlete,
Yeah.
and he posts a lot of content. I think he lives in Florida.
Hmm.
Dark skinned guy. I don't know his name.
Hmm.
And he worked for a big coaching company. If I said this guy's name, it might give the guy away. I'm not going to give the guy away, but
Sure.
very, very, very wealthy guy. He has planes and jets and posts all of it. He worked for that guy as a sales guy, and now he's posting his own thing. He's doing his own business, and I see some of his workout videos, and he looks like built, but uh, um, from what I see, I think there's a difference in the way your body looks when you are um like, if I had to guess, I would say that the training that you're doing now is slightly different from the training that you're doing when you first started that transition as an athlete. Is that true? It's changed a little bit, right?
You're saying starting out like as a like 10 years ago before like trying to like get better at football kind of thing or
No, more like when you first like when you had the sales job, or when you were working at Wagner. The way, like, your training, I would imagine, look different than it does now.
yeah, it's a little bit different, but it follows a lot of it's similar principles, but there is some changes. Yeah, but I've always kind of I've catered
Going after.
post not even no, I it switched after football completely. So I
Okay.
don't train the same way as I did during football for sure. It switched to more of like a actually yeah, it has changed because I've used some different aspects. So you're right. No, you're right. It's changed. All right, go on. I had to
No,
think through it.
I just see it. I just see it, and I watch somebody sometimes, and I'm like, you probably do hit the gym, but I know that you don't like the way that your body looks in that way. It's like, I can tell by looking at somebody, they
Yeah.
still need to do the spiritual development.
Yep. Yep.
Because some athletes, from what I see, this is from what I see, they get done playing, but they still want to train like they did as they're an athlete, and they still want to, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's the um, it's the other side of it. It's the inner child healing. It's the getting in touch with your emotions. It's the, going through some of these transformational experiences. Like, going inward, you're pursuing yourself and you're learning yourself deeper. It's some of those things that actually impact your body too, and the way you look and how you feel and how strong you are. And um, this has been my experience. Like I used to, when I was in Alabama, it was like early morning training, lifting, heavyweight training, and I was strong, but I didn't like the way my body looked. I felt like I was big, and I felt like I was like,
Yeah.
and now it's like I feel like I look better than I did. I've gone through some of the spiritual work, the inner work, and I actually feel like sometimes I don't have to do as much work as I did and look better than I did. If that makes sense. Do you see this with guys where like they actually need to do less, or uh, they need to change their focus in a way to help them get the results they want? Do you see that sometimes?
Yeah, there's a few facets behind that, and I've experienced it personally. Before starting treatment, probably like a month and a half ago, if I could, I'd train every day. I love working out. Would be working out every day. Didn't feel good, but I just was doing it. Now I'm working out for 3 times a week in the morning for about, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes. Nothing else. No crazy cardio. It's about it. So I do push pull leg 3 times a week. That's all. Which for me is extremely minimal. I would often go twice a day, so I'd often hit 9 to 10 training sessions a week. So I've cut that significantly down, and yeah, that's been hard for me, but I've lost 25 pounds in like, I don't know, 2 months. Um, and a lot of that was inflammation stuff from the detox and just water, and like I can feel it like throughout just like joints and body, but absolutely. And then for for athletes, and this is why I was so interested in what you had to say about it, because it's and even I found this way myself, even just the training, going with so many different aspects, but like the training time, like for me, like I love to train, and this probably starts from the way I started training. It was like I love to train like mid-afternoon. Like if you put me in the gym between like 4 to like 7 p.m., dude, I would go crazy. I've got a few meals in me. Like I've just so much more energy. It's insane. And right now I train in the
Mm-hmm.
morning because like for work wise and meeting with clients and especially sales calls and just meeting with people, like I meet with them after work typically. So most of my calls are 5 to 9. So I don't have time. I don't typically do that, but that's a big thing. And then like I've changed my training like to do hypertrophy, like because I was watching the bodybuilders. I've always loved bodybuilding. It's always been something that's been like a hobby and passion of mine. I've always watched that, even throughout football. I was 305 pounds lineman. Nobody would think I'm watching bodybuilding, but I was watching bodybuilding pregame and be like, all right, what are these? Like that was my motivation pregame. I'd be watching like MMA fighters or bodybuilding. I wasn't watching like football hype videos. I was watching like whatever, like Ronnie Coleman or Dorian Yates or like
Mm-hmm.
Leo Barada, like these. Um, so, and then every time I talk to clients though, and this is what I really wanted to get to, and a lot of them, many of them, many of them played football. Probably 95% of my clients played football or played some sport. I think all of them are sometime athletes. And what I'll ask them is, what do you enjoy doing for exercise? Not what, and I'll ask them, what do you currently do? And some of them maybe don't work out. They haven't worked out for 2 years and they need to lose weight, and that's why they're talking to me. Or maybe they're currently working out and they're at a plateau and they're like, I still want to lose 30 pounds and I can't figure out how to lose weight. And I ask them, what do you enjoy doing for exercise? And there's kind of like two aspects behind that, because you've got to enjoy. Like I love weightlifting in a hypertrophy kind of style of bodybuilding. That's extremely fun to me. And what else do I also enjoy? Just I enjoy hiking. So like if I'm going to do some cardio, hiking would be my other two. So I try to find like two aspects that they enjoy. So maybe somebody likes, um, and I've got a guy, one of them likes pickleball and they like lifting, but or one of them, and I've got another guy, he likes lifting and he likes jiu-jitsu. So those are his two aspects. So like a lot of people will just think I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lift and do cardio, and then after 2 months they're like, this sucks. And I would agree because like I don't want to just walk on a treadmill for an hour or do on a stair stepper. Like that sounds terrible because it's not in line with your spirit. Like what do you actually like doing? And you might be 300 pounds, but like what do you like shooting hoops? Okay, don't be on a treadmill or stair stepper for 45 minutes or elliptical. Like go shoot hoops and get a sweat on and to have fun. And like you go home and you're like, man, that was fun. Like I got the play a little 2-on-2 half court with my boys, like, or I went to go swim, or I went to Pilates because that's like, or I went to yoga. And besides Pilates, I've done all those two things too. So I've seen all those for exercise, and those are all great exercises. And those like find out what's in tune with your spirit. And a lot of these guys do enjoy like lifting in some aspect, but they don't want to lift and be in pain. And so many of us, as you know, and as I know, have so many injuries that that's a massive part is okay, like what are your I always try to figure out like all your injuries. And that's for me, like I've got torn ligaments and arthritis in both my shoulders. I've got herniated disc and arthritis in my low back. I've got injuries all over the place and I still work out, but I figure out how to work out around it. So then that's something that
Mm.
I've learned is to how to give them rehab, mobility exercises, active mobility, make sure they're have really good like really good muscle, like just I guess range of motion throughout the exercises. So it's almost therapeutic and higher rep ranges. So it's not as much pressure on the joints, but more, just getting blood in the muscle. Um, and that goes into nutrition because for changing your body, um, the nutrients you put in your body is pivotal. People say like, oh, just calories in, calories out. It's not calories in, calories out, in my opinion, at all. I think nutrition and the food you put in your body is extremely spiritual. I think when you eat something, you visualize how that's going to impact you. You visualize where it's from. Um, and I think that's also like there's a quote from Charles Poliquin. Um, Eat, fly, swim. I'm looking it up right now. And he said,
So true.
if it doesn't swim, run, or fly, or isn't green and grow in the ground, don't eat it. Um, and that's something like I work with all my guys with. It's not some potions or pills or fast muscle and fast like fat loss or weight loss strategies. It's eating real foods that come from the earth that God made for us to eat, not these junk foods that you're like, oh, well, it fits in my calories. I'm going to eat this random protein bar or go out and eat this random thing or this shake. And it's like, how about we just like, you know, feed ourselves the food? And what do you enjoy eating? Like, ask them, what vegetables and what fruits do you like? Do you enjoy eating? And they're like, oh, I love these fruits, but like, I know I'm not supposed to eat carbs. It's like, no, like, we're going to eat carbs. You're going to eat pineapple. You're going to be eating, like, we're going to have sweet potato. We're going to have salmon. We're going to have, oh, you like beef? Okay, we'll have beef. We'll have a little bit leaner beef. Oh, you like whatever you like. And I've got a whole chart of whole food approved list for macronutrients, micronutrients, and fit it in. And I track all the, protein, fats, carbs, calories, because that matters. But then I track all the micronutrients. So vitamin A,
Yeah.
K, C, D, iron, potassium, fiber. So like, and that's spiritual too, because that food you put in your body, it comes from somewhere. And and that's why we talked about GMOs and pesticides earlier. And you can talk about chemtrails and how that impacts the food. You can talk about what the animals are fed. You can talk about if we're really being fed animals or if that's other things, or if
Mm.
they're real animals eating food or if they're synthetic. But that's all spiritual. So like the food and enjoying what you eat, enjoying exercise that you do, and like what your heart like just what just feels right for you, and it's different for everybody. So it's not like I don't nobody has to work with 15 people and nobody has the same plan. And it takes me a long time to make them because everyone's got a different exercise routine. Everyone's got a different warm up. Everyone's got different core work. Everyone's got different mobility work. Everyone's got different food, meal timing. It's all different for everybody. Because it's what I'm trying to do is make it fit for like what feels right to them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really how it works for me, at least, and what I see what that works for people. And that's how I've helped like most of the people within a month are down 5 to 10 pounds at the minimum. And
In a
that's at the
month.
low end. Yeah, yeah, that's at the
Yeah.
low end. And just so much of it is inflammation.
Yeah.
It's because they
Which is the
feel
number one
stronger.
cause of, isn't that the number one cause of disease is inflammation,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
and I think that comes a lot from the food.
And mucus. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much junk, like so much junk. Um,
Now that we're talking about that, how do you feel about alkaline versus acidic foods?
I haven't dove into that enough to be honest, so I
Okay.
can't give like a really qualified opinion. I
Yeah.
have a lot of acidic actually in my treatment plan, which I pulled up because I know you were like interested in that. But before my first meal and my last meal of the day, I have let's see, my baseline health supplements. I have a GI support drink, which is acidic. It's apple cider vinegar with a mother, aloe vera juice, interfolate, lemon juice, L-glutamine, which helps with your stomach, and then inositol, which is helpful within the body too. So that's definitely acidic to kill things from the stomach. But alkaline versus acidic, I haven't looked into that enough, honestly, and that's something I want to dive into for sure. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on it? I'd like to hear.
Well, I when I first started to learn about nutrition stuff, I'm not an expert like you are. I haven't read tons of nutrition books per
I'm not an
se.
expert.
Well, I mean, to the average person, you're in the top, you know, 1 percentile just
I
on your like
appreciate it.
most people just live and they're just
Yeah,
like what eats what's good and
yeah,
athletes we have a little more knowledge because we had nutritionists and stuff, so like we had people telling us maybe we should eat this, but so it's like athletes are top 20 percentile because we have
yeah,
people telling us, and then you have athletes that still are need help, which is why you have clients. So it's like
yeah,
top, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
um but when I first started learning about alkaline stuff, I started studying Dr. Sebi. And
Mm,
there was a nutritionist. I'm not going to name her name. I'm not going to say where she's from, but she didn't like that I was eating mostly alkaline foods. And
sure.
we're talking about how nutrition impacts the spirituality. And I started to learn about alkaline diets. I started to learn about um, um, the energy that different food carries.
Talking about frequency.
Frequency, yep, the
Yeah, I've
frequency
looked
and
into that.
energy, yep.
Yep, yep.
And I just whole foods. I try to eat mostly whole foods, which is exactly in line with what you're saying. And then I also try to eat mostly alkaline foods if I can.
Sure.
And acidic is what creates the acidity in the body. And I think there's a difference between things being acidic but still good for you. Like lemon juice is technically acidic, but it's still good for you. Apple cider
Hmm.
vinegar is acidic, but it's still good for you. I think I'm referring to, from what I understand, things that create an acidic environment in your body.
Hmm.
So things that create mucus, and
Yeah, that
then
makes sense.
when it creates the mucus, then that leads to the inflammation, and obviously the inflammation is what leads to all the problems that people go through. So, um, yeah, but it's a whole other side of it. It's a from what I understand to be, it's a lot more of a spiritual side to nutrition. I'm curious. The other day I was thinking about this is, um, I feel like our cultures have something to do with it too. Like my family originated in the Bahamas,
Mm.
and my mom's side, England, and a little bit Aboriginals is what they call it in Canada, but Indians is what most Americans would call it, but brown people, right? From my grandpa's side. And I feel like our culture and our roots can also play a factor towards some of the food that we eat that might be good for our bodies. So me being from like, and I see this with my younger brothers all the time. We like fish, we like fruit. You know what I mean? It's like that's just what I love fish and I love fruit. You want to make me happy? Let me get a nice big piece of salmon, seasoned on the
Yeah.
grill with a smoothie in the morning or something like that, or in the afternoon. And like I feel like I don't know for sure, but I feel like my ancestors in the Bahamas, that's what they grew up eating. So I'm curious what your thoughts on like our lineage. I know you go back in time.
Hmm.
Can that affect, like
Oh yeah.
maybe
Oh yeah.
what's good for me isn't what's good for you because our roots are from different places. It's a whole other conversation at that point.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go to
So
the restroom real quick and then I'll dive into it.
yeah.
Um,
Yep.
So yeah, the ancestral foods, I think, and that's funny you're talking about that because it's something I've thought about too, and I've been kind of like doing some deep dives into well, I've always been interested in my own lineage, and then doing some deep dives just historically into lineage and some stories, especially about I'm come from like Ireland and Germany. Um, so I've thought about that for a few things because I was like, why do I always love the mountains and the forest? And my family is from like the forests of Germany, like these really like mountainous just forests. And then And like I've always like ever since growing up going to Vermont, love the mountains, love the forest. Like I love the green. Like I don't want to be in a city at all. Like I don't want to even be near a suburb. I want to be like in the mountains. Like that's just, and I feel like that's just within me. And like my name Klink comes from German. It dates back all the way to like the 1300s, and it comes from like big person, basically, like tall person, and maple, like the
Mm.
tree. Like that's what it means. Um, so like it means that tree, and I love and it's funny enough, I love maple syrup. Um, and I love like red meat or like wild game.
Hmm.
I love berries, which are in the forests. And that was like Oregon too. That's why I felt like home because I was like, dude, I love the forest. It was a little dry for me, so like I wasn't like a deep dense forest like up in like Vermont or something. I'm sure Canada's kind of similar too. Um, but I love that. Like that's like what feels like at home to me, like just instinctively. And the food you would have there, like berries, and then like the game, and I've always been like super like into like wanting to get into hunting and got my license for that and stuff. But I love just seeing the animals, or like I'll go on a walk and like I'll see deer out there, see elk, and I'm always just like, dude, like that's. Or if I see that anywhere, I'm getting wild game at a restaurant. Or like and the foods I like, yeah, I love like berries and fruits and honey and like maple syrup and all the foods that like sure were there that they had. And potatoes. I'm Irish, so like I love potatoes, carrots, like all those things that are like date
Yeah.
far back to the people, just like you said, like your family's past, and like that's where I come from. I got red hair, I got like light skin, like that's just like
Yep.
the lineage. So I think that's, and it even like kind of speaking to that, like how food is spiritual too. Like even in the Bible or other sacred texts, like look at how much just food is mentioned, like milk and honey and all. Like it's just like it is spiritual. So and I think that's really key, and that's why I ask guys, because some guys do. Like I have guys all different lineages and backgrounds, and it's like, what do you like to eat? Like what do you grew up eating? Um, and then going from there, and it's like, okay, well, like you love, like I have guys like that, they love fish, they love fruit. It's like, and then they like think like, oh, I just got to eat chicken and rice and broccoli. It's like, no, like let's eat like food you enjoy, that is whole food, and like people respond great to that. So I think you're spot on.
Well,
Yeah.
it's so cool, man. I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I haven't taken a deep dive, but something about going back to your roots. I'm the same way when it comes to like beaches and
Yep.
sun and warm weather and like, that's my family.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've been calling to Florida. I got family in Florida, so I think it's
I've
really
al-
cool.
yeah, I've always felt called to like Colorado. Ever since I was young, I never even went to Colorado, and I was like, man, I like the Rocky Mountains. Like this is like,
Hmm.
um, and like I always had like a taste of that in going to Vermont. I love like the pine trees, the evergreens, like in the snow on them. I love the snow. Um, like walking in the snow and like seeing the star. Like I love the stars, like just all that. And I was just, yeah. And then like going out west and like seeing that, I was like, man, I just felt at home. Like I was just like, oh, like it's away
Have
from
you,
like the people I know, but I loved it.
yeah, have you been to Colorado before?
Yeah, yeah. I took after basically like every May after we finished finals, I would take a road trip for a few years in college. So I did one um, when we went with my buddies. We went to Nashville, then went to Austin, then went to Denver, and then came back and it was like, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks. But yeah, I spent time in there, and then I went out there another time, and then so I went there twice, and then I went there with Fuse I helped move him out to LA. So we stopped in
Gotcha.
Colorado, went to Red Rocks. So I've been to Red Rocks a few times, went to Rocky Mountain National Park, Estes Park, all that. Um, yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Colorado's in your blood, man.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the place. I don't know.
I know. I thought,
You talk about
yeah,
environment you thrive in.
yep.
So I don't know for sure, but sounds cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So, but yeah, it's like, and that's comes back to the heart too. Even like location, like you just kind of feel it, you know.
You just
Um,
know. Sometimes you just know, you know? Sometimes you just know. I think
I
it's
think
like
it's like
that with
that.
the relationships too. So
Yeah, it
you know
is.
that too. You don't just know when it's good, you also know when it's not right too. So, oh, I've had problems with that, man. Knowing that I'm not supposed to do it and still doing it for a long time. Oh, hurts, bro. Hurts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've been in those
gosh,
shoes too. That's not easy.
it's one of the hardest things ever, man. I don't know. Maybe that's just me,
No,
but
I'm with
it's
you.
tough,
I think we're
bro.
both caring people too, so it's like you want to, yeah, it's yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. For sure.
uh Interesting. I'm trying to. What else is going on? I feel like there's like when I kind of wanted to delve into what you were doing too. Because I was
Okay.
interested, and I see like you've been, and a lot of it's interesting to me because it's stuff I'd eventually like to do. But like I seen you've been doing more like speaking and helping out like younger generations, and kind of walk me through what's been going on there because I've that's been interesting to me.
Yeah, speaking is kind of one of those things for me that I know I'm supposed to do it, and sometimes I don't do it. But
Mm,
that's what I'm supposed to do. And yeah, I did one. I think I did one for my high school. It was my first real one. I did a whole day, multiple classes came in. We did sessions and stuff, and then from there, it's just kind of been people see me as a speaker. So whether it's in the community, they're like, I know they think of me when they think of needing a speaker for something. And people will call me, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I go do it, and I just keep practicing it and keep getting better at it. And um, then you start getting paid for it, and people want to pay you. And you're like, all right, well, I'm working on my business, but like, if you're going to pay me, I mean, that's part of my business. I'll just keep doing it. So, yeah, so I just did one in Michigan, Hudson, Michigan. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but really great people out there, man. It's incredible. Good. Michigan's got some really good people. And lots of kids, bro, tons of kids, the middle school and the high school, and they just rotated stations for mental health day. So that was really cool. And then I have another one coming up this fall for teachers, So it's going to be the teachers. You know how they kind of have like the off day. The teachers
hmm
have like that off day, and then they have workshops and stuff. So I'm going to run a workshop for teachers, and we're going to talk about empowerment and stuff, for they can empower their students. I think they have a mass and stuff. It's a Catholic school, so they have like a mass in the morning and then do that. So it's in order to be a full time speaker, I think it's a little different. Um, I'm not a full time speaker. I don't know if I'll ever be a full time speaker, maybe, but it's fun for me. It's fun. It's fun to be creative. It's fun to write it out. It's fun to practice it. It's fun to do it. It's the thing for me that feels like I'm playing a sport because you got to prepare and you got to watch film, and then you have that feeling inside. You start to get a little nervous. Oh my gosh, there's gonna be 700 people. Oh my gosh, they're paying me. I have to do a good job. It's like, oh, it's okay. It's like people are watching you perform in a football game, and it's gonna be recorded and all this stuff. So it's like that gives me that energy that football and basketball gave me. So and then it's a captive audience. It's a live audience. You got to be funny. You gotta say stuff that's real. You gotta tell stories that are good. People are not going to pay attention. You got to move to keep people engaged. It's like it's a whole deal, you know. But it's fun. I like it, man. It's not for everybody, and it's tough if you're trying to do it full time. It's tough. I mean, I remember that when I first started doing it, it was just like recording content on TikTok, podcast episodes by myself. I posted 3 podcast episodes recently, and it's just me, like just practice, literally just a practice talk. So and then I think I did stand-up comedy one time just to like
Really?
try something new. Yeah, I did stand-up comedy, and then I didn't even know what I was going to say. I just kind of went up there, and I had 2 funny situations that happened to me, and I was like, let me just go tell a funny story that happened to me and see if people laugh. And I told a story about how I was crossing the border for a football camp, and the border was backed up super crazy, and I needed to take a shit, you know, like a shit that you get goosebumps. And I shit in the car. My whole family was in the car. I shit in the car. Yeah, I shit in the blanket. My whole family's traumatized, bro. Seriously, it's just crazy. Every time we're at the border, we're at the same border, and they're all like, "Yep, this is where Dominic took the shit." So yeah, man. But it's funny. It's fun though. Speaking's fun for me. It's very similar to what you're doing with your content. You know, it's like you wanna. From what I realize, it's and guys talk to me now. They're like, "Hey, I'm about to talk. What should I talk about?" So it's like people come to me like I'm a speaking expert now, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll help you best I can." But
Yeah.
I'm not Eric Thomas or anybody yet. Um, but it's fun, and from what I find is like when you script it out too much, you become too robotic. But when you're just like yourself, and you like right now, it's like you just coming, it's just flowing through you. That's when like the magic happens. And in Jordan Peterson says this too. He says, if you want to have a good talk, write it all out and make sure you read it and everything. You can have a good talk. But he said, if you want to have a great talk, don't really plan that much, put that much into it. Or sometimes just have no plan and just go. Which I wouldn't suggest at first, but the magic does come out though. Sometimes it just flows out of you when you're not even planning it. So that's all I got. I'm
Interesting.
speaking though.
How do you, oh, there's a lot more. How do you, 'cause this is interesting to me, and I even was trying to do this today, but how do you prepare? Not like prepare in a sense like writing it out, but like mentally, how do you prepare to be in that like flow state? To like just
Yeah.
like to be able to just like how do you, because there's always stuff going on. There's business, there's family, there's relationships, there's a million things going on in life. Like how do you kind of like I don't know, how do you lock in to that like and get to that state?
Well, um, I'm still working on that, to be honest with you. I think there's some people where, well, one, I think it takes practice, like anything.
Mhm.
Two, I think there's some people that I really look up to that they get into a specific routine and it helps them channel that energy, right? Any very gifted creative person, I don't think, I want to be careful when I'm saying this, but I don't necessarily think it's their full responsibility for the art that they create. I think we're vessels for art. And I think the art comes from the higher power. And our soul is just a unique expression of that. And then it just comes through us. So, but in order to prepare, I do a lot of visualization. I ask very specific questions to the person that wants me to come talk first. You know, how many people are going to be there? What's the age? What's the demographic? What do you want them to understand? What do you want them to feel? You know, how long is it going to be? And then I get all these questions, and I'm like, okay, and if I can, I try to see what the stage looks like, what the high school looks like, what the room looks like, and I try to just picture the environment first, and then I picture what I want them to say, and um, then I just let myself ruminate on it. I write down all these things. I have all this information, and then I just let it come to me. And as I'm going throughout my day, I'll think about, oh, this might be good, and I'll just write that down, and this might be good, and this might be good, and I'll start getting these ideas for what might be good to put into the talk, and then I'm at the point now where I need 30 days to prepare for a talk. I need 30 days. So I've done some in less, and I've done some. My first one, I think I prepared for 3 months straight. Now I'm at the point where I need 30 days. So 30 days out, I will write a very rough draft of the talk, and I'll write it like I'm writing a book or like I'm writing a journal. Like I'll write every single word, and then I'll take that and I'll read that out loud and see how it sounds. And I'm like, yeah, this could be better, or I need to add a better story. And then if I have jokes in there, I will go and test the jokes out on people in my life, and
Mhm.
I'll see if they're funny. I'll see if they laugh at them. I'll tell it to my mom. I'll tell it to my brothers. I'll tell it to my friends, and I'll see if it's funny or not. And if it's not funny, then I look for a better one. And if it is, then I'll be like, okay, I could say this. I think I did a talk where uh, I said I started off the talk. I said, I promise I won't keep you long. This isn't a Diddy party. and everybody was going crazy. They're like, "Oh, he's gonna keep me out like they did the Diddy parties." So I tested that though. I had to test it first, and then I try to turn it from all that writing into like bullets so that I remember. Because there's no way you're gonna be able to remember the whole memorized thing. I write out, you know, 5 bullets. This is a bullet. I write out, make sure you say this, say this, say this, and then I just practice. I just practice that. I practice doing it in front of people. For this one, I did 700 kids. I just walked around the park. My girlfriend was with me, and I just practiced to her a couple times and keep practicing, keep practicing. Look in the mirror, practice, and just practice. And then by the time it comes, it's kind of like Kobe says. It's just, and this is just me. I don't know how everybody else does this, but this is just me. It's just like on the day of, if you're not ready, you're not ready. Like I like to just have a good meal the day before and just make sure I have my outfit and everything like that, and just go out and just have fun. And if I sometimes I'll get up there and I'll like forget something, and you just gotta improvise sometimes. Sometimes you gotta like right now I'm kind of stuttering a little bit and I'm a little bit slow, and you lose your train of and you just gotta maybe walk a little bit, and then it'll come back to you, and you say sometimes like, oh, I lost it, I lost it, hold on, like when you're at the beginning stages you might lose a point or something, and you gotta kind of bring yourself back. But um yeah, I think when I try too hard I can't get into the flow because I'm trying to force it to be a certain way. And when I just like me and you are having this conversation right now, like I just try to do that, and that helps me get into the flow. I don't do any like some people do breathing techniques and they get on the trampoline and stuff, and you know I don't know. I try not to listen to music. I will say I try not to listen to music heading up to it, because for me I speak better when I have words going through my brain. So when I'm in reading mode, like I get into these modes where I'm just like reading books a lot. When I'm in reading mode, that's when I speak better. But when I have music and other tunes in my, it's not as fluent. So the day of, I definitely try to not listen to music heading up to it. And then you just feel all the emotions, bro. You feel the nervousness. You feel people are going to be looking at you. Um, but I think with practice, you just get better. So that's how I prepare. Are you getting ready to do some stuff, or is that something that you want to do, or
Yeah, it's
just
something
kind
that's
of,
in the pipeline for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it'll be in the pipeline. Um, it's definitely, yeah, it's interesting. And like, so when those ideas flow for you when your 30-day process, like, do you sit down and write, or or I know you said that throughout the day they come in, like, what's that process when you're kind of like, when you're like the antenna mode, like when you're kind of like, bringing in all those thoughts, like, how does that go for you? Like, what do you try to do so you can really be like receptive to those, to that muse or to that higher
yeah.
power?
Uh, I think there's research on this, but um, I think that the way we connect clearly to the subconscious is through meditating, breathing, and the most impactful and consistent one that I've seen is by doing something that you don't have to think about. So for a lot of people, it's driving, it's walking, it's doing the dishes, it's folding laundry, it's journaling. Journaling's huge for me. Um, it's just taking action on something to where you get your body very lightly moving. Like Steve Jobs, his morning routine, he walks on the treadmill every single morning in the morning. He walks for an hour, and it's just that the act of moving gets ideas flowing, and they just start coming to you. So things will pop up into my mind as I'm going for a walk, or I'm shooting around, or I'm, doing dishes. And for me personally, when an idea pops in my mind that I know fits what I need to do, it doesn't go anywhere for at least a little bit. I don't lose it. I don't lose it. Now, I do think you should write it down. I think you should keep a journal if you can to help you remember. But for me, sometimes if I know something's going to go in the talk, I'm like, I got it. That's going in for sure.
Mhm.
Or sometimes it even comes to me when I'm asking them questions at the beginning. I'm asking them questions about what they want and what they're looking for and how they want them to feel. They say something, and I'm like, yep, I got one for that. I got one for that. Just kind of checking all the boxes that make sure that everything that they say they want the talk to be like, that I'm giving them everything they want, and I'm making it even better than what they probably are expecting. So, yeah. But there's some. I mean, I've also. I'm not gonna say I haven't. I've read some books on speaking, and I've studied speakers, and that's I'm passionate. I love Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, John Maxwell, OG speakers, stand-up comedians. Like I love, Steve Harvey. Like I love speakers. It's just I like watching them. I like podcasters. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts now. I like reading books, but I see podcast clips all the time, and I just I like studying them. But I think that's probably the best way to start receiving the ideas. And then 30 days out, I need to have the talk written. So I'm ideally, if somebody wants me to speak, they're telling me before a month out, and I have that conversation. I have time for the ideas to come in. And then once the when I'm 30 days out, it's like I have to have it written. I have to have the plan done, and I have it written out. And then over those 30 days, I'm like refining the plan. I'm refining the talk and making it better and better. And then a week out, at least a week out, I am like, I know exactly what I'm going to say, and I'm just practicing it, practicing it, and practicing it. And then, yeah. So that is a little bit separate from speaking, though. Speaking itself, I think, is something that is continually practiced. So whether it's like your podcast, you're speaking on the podcast, or it's going and doing Toastmasters, or recording yourself. Like I'll just sit in the car and I'll put my content, and I'll go to TikTok 10 minutes, and I'll just record and see. There's this really good guy, Vin, on Instagram, Asian guy, I forget his first name. And he says, record yourself speaking, and then close your eyes and listen to yourself speak and see what you hear. And then he says, what's the second one? He says, turn the captions on and turn the volume off. And, turn the volume off and watch yourself speak. And then turn the volume off with captions, so you're reading it and read what you're saying. So you're seeing all three of them at different times. So you have your ums and ahs, but then like, what do you look like when you're speaking? Like, do you look like you're passionate? Like, is somebody gonna want to watch you if you're on a stage? It's like you have to. Are you moving your body? Are you moving your hands? Like all that goes into play. And then if somebody like couldn't see you, but they're listening to you speak, does your voice sound like somebody that they want to listen to? Or like, is your story captivating and keeps them engaged? It's like all of those things playing together. So I'm not perfect at all, but I will say I feel like I've gotten better as times goes. And then like, gosh, the first time you get a speaking engagement, like people are going to watch your content, and because you're standing up and recording content, if you keep doing it, somebody's going to ask you to come speak because they just see that's what you're doing. And the first time you do a speaking engagement, it's going to be like your first football game. It's going to be like, you might mess up, but like, and you're going to prepare the best you can. But after, other people are probably going to think it's good just because I know you're going to over prepare and you're going to like work hard at it and you're going to do a good job at it. But you are going to feel like that's not good. And then the second time, you're going to feel like the second time might even be the hardest one. And you're still going to feel like it's not good because it's like something that is vulnerable to you. It's close to you. It's like a creative expression. It's like when you create art and then you show it to somebody and somebody's like, that sucks, like, or you record a song and you really want people to love the song. And then people are like, yeah, I don't like the song. It's like at the beginning, you go through that phase where other people, they might not like it. You you don't like it. You definitely don't like it because we're our toughest critic. And
Yeah.
as you just keep going, you know, and then creativity is God's work. You know, God wants us all to be creative. So I stick with the plan, and um, but it's definitely different from business. Business is like I'm motivated to help people and serve people, and make some money while doing it to take care of myself and be able to eat and stuff like that. But creativity is like you can't be thinking to yourself, I gotta survive, so I gotta be creative. Because if you're worried, if your baseline needs aren't met, it's hard to be really good. It's hard to be creative from what I've seen and from what I've seen from people. I think starving artists is a real thing, but I think it's hard to create really good work if your baseline needs aren't met. You need to be in a comfortable space where you can just let it flow out of you. So um, I try to the best I can because I've been in situations where I mean I've shit the majority of time me starting this thing I've been in situations where I feel like I need to speak. I need a speaking engagement or else I'm not gonna have money. So I've been in situations like that, but I do think there's like a baseline level of um, like you need to feel safe in order to create, and I think we can create that within ourselves. But it's really good to be. It's I think it's helpful to be in an environment where you feel safe enough to create.
Yeah, you can't be like in flight or fight mode
Yeah.
when you're trying to let that all come in, because those are top of my thoughts, right? So then when you're taking a walk or driving or doing your dishes, you're not stressed about that. Of course, there's always stresses in life, but like you said, the basic needs are met. So then you can like think about that without those thoughts popping in your head, like, man, where am I gonna just get my next meal or make my next money to pay rent or whatever. Those
Mm-hmm.
basic things. Yeah, that makes sense. When did that, has that always been something for you? Like, I guess like speaking or because you've written the book, Second Act, and like that's obviously it's not speaking, but it's still, it's like it's expressing yourself um in that manner, I guess. And I'm sharing the screen. Let's see. Can you see that?
I can see it.
Okay, yeah. So
That's
if
it
people
right
are,
there.
yeah, if people are liking what Dom's saying right now, check out his book, The Second Act, A Simple Guide to Finding and Living Your Next Unique Path After Retiring from Your Athletic Career. It's on Amazon. Check it
Yeah.
out.
In my
Um,
bio too for free. Amazon
okay.
didn't let me post it for free,
Oh,
unfortunately.
really? Well, yeah, check that out for Dom. I'll make sure it's in the description too. Um, but like, has that always been something that's like an interest of yours? Is like, have you always, even when you were younger? I know you've got a lot of younger brothers, so I'm sure you always spoke to them. Like, where was that? Like, where'd that kind of stem from within you?
That's a really good question. I have always been a coach. I've always been a coach. My dad was a coach, and I've always coached my younger brothers, and I've always told them what they need to hear and not what they want to hear. And I've always tried to be a leader for them. And um, you kind of get cast out when you're like that. Your brothers want to like talk about like doing drugs and hooking up with girls and shit, and like they don't want to tell you because you're going to tell them the shit they don't want to hear. So I've always been a coach, and I've always like told them the real stuff and been real with them. And naturally, when I do that, I speak to them. And when I give them the flow and I'm coaching somebody, that is where the speaking comes out. It's coming from the coaching. It's coming from the caring about them. And so I had moments when I was younger where I was speaking to them, and I didn't even think of it as being a speaker. I thought of it as being an older brother.
Yep.
And I mean, when I graduated sixth grade, I did the um, I spoke well, I don't even know what you call it when you speak for the graduation. There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now, but gosh, the valedictorian. Sorry, I was a valedictorian, sixth grade.
Oh,
I
okay.
got up there. My mom made me do it. And then when I was in church when I was younger, my mom would make me go read in church. And if you didn't speak correctly or if you fumbled on your words, the old ladies would like hiss and moan of that. Oh, he's not reading this Bible verse well enough, and you know what I mean. So I had the pressure of like making sure that I read well in church when I was younger, and my mom would always like make me go up there, and I was like, I don't want to do it. She's like, go up there. You're good at reading. So I've had situations when I was younger throughout high school where I had to speak, and I've always kind of been a leader on my teams and stuff, but it's always something I've kind of kept within me. And and I loved watching stand-up comedy my whole life. I would listen to motivational. I mean, when I was going through depressive times, I don't even know if that's a word, but times of times where I was depressed in college, I would
Yeah.
listen to motivational speakers speak on YouTube,
Hmm.
and that kind of helped get me through some hard times for me. Um, so and then like in college, there's been times where I have spoken in front of the team when I didn't want to, or they called me up to speak in front of the team,
Yeah.
and I didn't think I just thought I was just doing what I was told, and I didn't think it was good. But then people came up to me and said, "Hey, that was actually I think that actually touched me and stuff."
Yeah.
But where I realized that I think I need to pursue something else besides coaching sports and speaking might have something to do with it was I was working with somebody at Alabama, and we're getting ready for a game, and we had practice leading up to a nationally recognized game. So there was lots of scouts that would come by and watch practice. And this guy that I was working with was one of my guys that I worked with on a regular basis. I worked with the bigs, and he just had a really rough practice. And he was one of those guys that like coaches on his ass because he would always talk back. So the coach, Coach Oates, like he loves guys that work really hard and like they take the coaching. And this was a guy that would talk back to coach and say, "Man, what do you mean?" And make excuses and shit like that. And then coach, if you're one of those guys, coach is gonna get on your ass now. He's gonna get in your ass, and coach was getting on his ass, and it was affecting him in practice. So after he was frustrated, and he was like complaining to me, and he wanted me to like sympathize with him and like say, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." But I'm the older brother, so I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear. That's just how it is. And I sat there and it just came out of me. I just got into a flow and I was talking to him or speaking to him for like a minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes straight. And the Spurs scout was sitting watching us shoot free throws and watching this happen. And the game time Saturday comes around. We're getting ready for the game. And the Spurs scout comes up to me and he says, "Hey, um, I just want to let you know I heard what you said to Nick Pringle. And gosh, I wasn't supposed to say his name. Sorry. I heard what you said to him. And he said that was the most impactful thing that happened all practice yesterday. He said, I don't know what you're doing, but we need to stay in contact. And he came up to me in the middle of the warm-ups, and I was like, damn, that was crazy. That guy's like fucking scout for the Spurs. Like, that's legit. And then he called me later that season, and he offered me a job pretty much. He offered me to come and work in the summer and do internships and stuff. And that was really hard for me because I was like, man, like NBA, like this is sick. I never would have thought about this. But I had this feeling in my heart that said I got to start a business or I got to pursue this life coaching stuff, similar to you. So, but it was at that moment where he told me that I was like, I think I might be able to do something to do with speaking. I don't know what it is, but I think I should look into it more. So that's kind of where it happened. But we'll see where it goes from there. So
That's fascinating. It's like deep origins, when you were young, talking to your brothers and at church, and like just kind of like the slow refinement process that's just happened over years and years, and um, yeah, that's really interesting. And then when you're talking about kind of like writing things out, like was the like kind of walk me through like the decision to write the book, and has that kind of helped you, I guess, because I'm sure like you probably read that over many times. So is that kind of something that helped you as you prepare for speeches now, or how did that kind of come to be, and how's it, I guess, helping you now?
Yeah. Um, so when you're coming from Canada, you got to prepare for the SATs because they don't have SATs in Canada, but you need to take
Mm,
them in order to get recruited.
mm,
So I was doing my SAT prep and I was working with my English teacher, and she liked me and she said I was good at writing. And I never really thought I was good. I didn't really think I was good with anything with school, but that was the first person, like the first teacher that told me you're good at this thing in school. And I was good at sports and I did enough work to pass my classes, but I didn't know that I was good in a specific area.
yeah.
So now, mind you, I might have not been good. I don't know. All I know is that when I got done playing my sport, I wanted to try things to see what I was actually good at. And I started to think about areas in my life where people told me I was good at things or something good happened for me when I realized I think I might be good at a certain thing. So I started pursuing writing. Uh, Dan Coe is a writer and content creator, digital marketing, when I was at Alabama, and he opened me up to copywriting and different techniques for um, for communicating your thoughts, for persuasion, for business. He just opened me up to writing a little bit and taught me some. I learned some things in the course. This dude had, hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers. He's at like 1.6 something now on a million on Instagram. So I was like, this guy's course must be legit. He's good at doing this digital stuff. He's got a ton of Twitter followers. And I was like, maybe if I take what my teacher told me and I start doing this, I can get better. I can maybe become.
Um,
Oh, it's okay.
okay. You're pretty clear now. You got me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Maybe it's me.
No, you're
There
good,
you
dude.
go.
Yeah, you look good. Yeah, it looks clear though. I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
I'll resume it. Sorry. We're on Dan Coe's course right now.
Yeah, I took Dan Coe's course and then I started to apply what I learned from the course and started to write every day. Um, I had already been reading a lot of books, and I had already started a journal practice of journaling. I started journaling, and I when I was in Alabama, I started writing down everything. Was going through notebooks, was going through pens a lot, so I had already started to get into the motion of doing it, and I just started sharing it. I just started posting it, and I posted the quotes for like a year. When I first left Alabama, I just started posting quotes a lot,
Mm,
and then I felt like I had this knowledge, and I felt like I wanted to share and create something. And originally I wanted to put a price tag on it, like I wanted to make a real book and like charge for it. I think the information in the book is worth money.
mhm,
But I also remember when I was at Alabama, and even before then, the whole year leading up to finally leaving being an athlete, and I still look at it now and I'm just like, wow, this is good. But I needed information and I didn't have money. So I was like, it's gonna be a free book. So, um, but yeah, that's kind of where it happened. I went through the transition, um, and really, the purpose behind why I did it and why I'm doing it and why I won't stop and I will continue to do it is I grew up in an abusive household when I was younger. My dad played in the NFL, and for the first 11 years of my life, it was abusive. It was toxic. My dad drank a lot of alcohol. He struggled with mental health illnesses, not just and disorders, not just illnesses like schizophrenia and like serious mental health disorders. And it was just unpredictable in the house. And and I thought about when I was younger, I used to be mad at him. I used to get hurt and get abused, and I used to be mad at him. And then I started to get older. I started to mature. I started to go through my own relationships that are toxic. I started to drink myself. I started to um, not to that extent, but I started to like go out and drink at the bar and stuff. And I was an athlete, and then I went through the transition, and I realized how hard life was after, and like you got to find a job, and I went through all this pain when I was younger, and I realized it wasn't necessarily all my dad's fault. And then I started doing research on, you know, this problem. Nobody solved this problem before. There's nobody has a solution to it. There's no, like, every athlete talks about how hard it is, but nobody has gone the distance to find the solution to the problem. So that is why, very similar to you, and when it comes to like the pain that you've experienced physically, I would assume that has like helped you or just pushed you even more to start this business and to pursue this path. Because just to pursue a line man to lean man, if you never went through pain, if you've never like experienced being a lineman before, you're not going to run that kind of business. Like you're so to shorten it all up, I experienced a lot of pain when I was younger, and my dad went through that, and because he went through that, it caused me a lot of pain when I was younger. So I wanted
Mm,
to create something that helped solve the problem, and that was my creative expression. That was my way of a solution that solves the problem is education and learning and getting inspired to actually take action and reading, because reading was so impactful on my life. When I started reading books, nobody taught me about money. Nobody taught me about some of these self-help things, about communication, about psychology, about influence, about all this stuff. Nobody taught me, but the books taught me. So I can write something once, and writing is something that will stick around for that in centuries. We still have tablets from ancient Egypt and all this stuff. So I just combined all this stuff I've learned and got passionate about a problem that I've experienced, and I wanted to write a book about it. So, will it turn into a paperback book that people buy one day? Maybe. But the essence of the book was to solve a problem that nobody solved before because of the pain that I experienced, and I wanted to make it accessible to as many people as possible. But the problem is when people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And when you make something free, people will get it, but they're like, I don't really want to read it. And I've talked to a lot of people that got the book, but they didn't really read it and they didn't really finish it. And in order for it to be effective, gosh, not effectful. In order for it to be effective and in order for it to really impact people, you got to actually read it. You got to actually read it. So there's some athletes, some people that are self-driven and that they will read, they will go the extra mile to read it, and some people just won't. So that's kind of, I hope that answers your question. That kind of goes along with the whole process of the book. So
yeah, no, that's
yeah.
really interesting. And kind of like what you mentioned about that and the purpose of putting it out for free and then recognizing that people need to be bought in to it. Like is that been I know for me, like that's been a big mental block is like actually charging a price for your service. Um, because I was the same way. Um, whether in high school, like didn't have like any trainer or anybody. I would just work out in my high school weight room with my coach. Um, when all the guys, everyone goes to fancy speed coaches, strength coaches, just I was going to my high school gym and like working out and then throughout college the same way. Like I was, walk on, I'm taking out student loans and working at my family's restaurant and training when I like as much as I could. But so like I valued, those free resources like you mentioned, or those affordable resources like a book, or podcast or um, listening to those people that you can gain as much knowledge. I mean, that's how most of the stuff I've learned was on YouTube or seminars and stuff on YouTube or for nutrition and training. Like that's all how I learned. And then I have some key books that I like and have referenced back to and continue to read, but that like free resource. So how has that shift been for you as you've turned into like your business and like and wanting to help people, but then realizing like the the financial tag also like the price tag behind it actually like they're investing in you and of course you're investing in them. So like, was that something that was like, I don't know, you had to work through, like for your own business and speaking now?
Yes, I still have to work through it. I am still actively working through it. Because um, what you charge is related to your self-worth. And if you don't view yourself as worth a lot, you're not going to charge a lot. And
Mm,
but there's also the balance of the market determines what you're worth as well. So if people don't value the transformation that your business, your service, your offer offers them, they are not going to pay for that offer. So it's a balance of knowing your worth and creating an offer and communicating that offer in a way that shows the value to the other people. So at first, when I first started off, it was, hey, I'm a life coach. I help with the transitions, and I help people with their life outside of sports. Okay, that doesn't really make sense. What do you really help me solve? How is that going to benefit me? How's it going to make my life better? How is it going to make me more money? So I had to understand like what people want, what they're wanting. And now the offer is more, I show them like, this is how working with me is going to benefit you. This is how you're going to make more money, right? If if you offer somebody a Lamborghini for $10,000, they're going to find a way to come up with $10,000 because they realize that the Lamborghini has that much value, and they're like, oh my gosh, only $10,000. Here you go. So it's all about communicating your offer and making your offer seem like a Lamborghini instead of a Honda. And uh, some people go towards what they want, and other people go away towards what they don't want. So in your business, it's communicating like, how many years are you going to wait before you you start taking your health seriously, right? Like you're not an O lineman anymore. Like like how much is it worth to like be 300 pounds, but to go to 230 and be ripped, be healthy and be happy? Like how much is that problem worth to you? Is it worth $50 for a service? I don't know. You might view, health is not really that important, but I know some old people that didn't take their health serious and now they're going to live 10, 20 plus years less than the average person because they didn't take their health serious. So do you view money as a priority, or do you view living longer and healthier and happier for longer as a priority? So, what you put your money into is going to affect what you do. Like what you invest your money into is going to affect you. So this is a lot, but it's an investment. And it's just like finding ways now to communicate to the person that you're serving and showing them the value in what you're trying to do and how it's serious. And that's been my biggest thing, is just learning how to communicate the value of my offer to people. And I think I sent you the document, but there's a
mm,
story of a fisherman, and
mm,
that fisherman story really changed my perspective because there's big fish and there's small fish, and there's ways to fish. And I like the Bible. I like listening to the Bible in church because there's often um, uh, I often find myself questioning, is this really the story of Jesus, or is this a parable that relates to other things? Is fishing like business? I think about that. I'm like, is fishing like business? Because Jesus talks about going fishing and doing things, and I'm like, there's a dog barking, but sometimes if you read the line specifically, you're like, oh yeah, Jesus, tell them to go fish. You read the stories as they are, but then when you read between the lines, you're like, wait a second, what are they really talking about here? And that is, this year I've been really getting in touch with God more. I've been going to church more. I've been doing something spiritual every single Sunday, and I've been really focusing on it. And when you start to really pay attention, when you start to really notice, like you talked about, awaken, and you're paying attention, you realize some of the things between the words they're talking about there. So, um, yeah, I kind of got sidetracked, but it's a barrier for me. It's a barrier for sure. I think one of the most valuable things you can do is inner child healing and inner work. And I grew up, obviously, I told you before, the first 11 years of my life, the pain, and I didn't think I was good enough. I was never good enough. And I heard that and I felt that and I got treated like that. And I grew up believing that. So I believe that about myself. So that now when I get up and speak in front of people, or I'm in a QB room and the coach asks me a question, or I'm in a class, I just believe I'm not good enough. I believe this is how I deserve to be treated, and I'm attracting relationships where I feel like I'm not good enough, and I'm pursuing people that I feel like are at my level because I feel like I'm at a lower level. So it's a self-worth thing. It's a self-worth thing. And when you realize and you learn your worth and you go back and you heal your inner self and you heal, that little kid version of you, and you do the meditation and you go back and you tell yourself like, no, like you deserve all the best stuff. You know what I mean? Like the rich kids that grow up with it all, like they expect it. They're like, of course I'm gonna have $1 million a year. Of course. Like I grew up, they have that self-worth that they believe they're worth all the money in the world. They grew up with that. And if you didn't grow up with that, there's a reason. And you oftentimes our parents didn't grow up with it either. And you pass it down the generation and generation. So when you're the cycle breaker, when you're the black sheep of the family, when you're the one that wants to go a different direction, when you want to be the one to change things for your family, it's the hardest thing to do ever. It's the hardest job of the person in the family, because you have to be the one to rewrite some of the shit that you went through and that your family went through and that what they went through. Because just like you were saying, that is all passed down for generations. That self-worth is all passed down for generations. But when you heal yourself and you heal the self-worth and you know what your worth is, you refuse anything less, and you go along with the market, and you know that you still have time to develop, but like I, I got paid $500 for 15 minutes. I can't expect it. I can't accept a speaking engagement that doesn't pay that or more. So it's like, that this is what you have to do now, and you just keep on improving, and then, people, when you view yourself of worthy of whatever it is, other people will view you as that, because you're holding yourself to that standard, and other people either rise to the standard or they just don't, and that's why people are at different levels. But how you view yourself is gonna, from what I've seen, is just, how you view yourself impacts everything. It impacts how other people treat you, because you're treating yourself that way. It impacts how much you feel like you want to charge. It impacts, how you show up for yourself. It impacts how you eat, and it shows how you, like, what you put in your body, how you treat your body and workouts. It shows up for everything. And I've personally had times where I'll go back and forth, where I think that I'm good, I think that I'm going, but then I'll revert back, and I'll be like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for the next level. I don't think I'm ready to leave this relationship. I don't think I can charge this much. You know, but it's just when you make a decision, like I'm doing, I don't care. Like bets are off. I'm shedding everything I need to shed. I'm not accepting anything less than my best. I'm going to become the person that I'm meant to be. Everything from what I've seen, when you choose yourself, the world chooses you. So that's been my experience with it.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. And like that like inner healing process, like I'm interested in that. Like how does like how do you is that how do you go about that? Like I think that's something I know I've went through and still work through, and I think a lot of people um struggle with that, or maybe even haven't really addressed that. Like what were like the first steps for you?
Um, Talking to a therapist. I've been to 5 different therapists in my life, maybe 6. My girlfriend was a therapist, so if you count her, that's 6.
Mhm.
And then when I was younger, when we first left, my mom put us in therapy, one-on-one therapy, group therapy.
Mhm.
So I think just talking about it, and my
Mhm.
podcast, Dealing with Pain, I say one of the best ways to get pain out of your body, because pain affects your body, and if you don't let it out, it will show in your body by fat, and it stores as fat. And you know all this stuff too, but you got to let it out somehow, and
Mhm.
you have to speak. You got to speak out. You have to cry it out. And then what I think is one of the best ways to let it out is through your creative expression. your way of creating. Everybody has a way that something that they do that's creative that they like to do naturally than other things. Mine speaking, some other people's writing, some other people is drawing, whatever it is. But you got to let it out. And then one of the most profound things that I've done, and I've done this a couple times, is guided meditation for inner child healing. So what I would suggest is if you're going through a really painful time in your life, or you have gone through a really painful or traumatic time in your life, is meditate and go back to that place. So if you've never meditated before, I would start with box breathing for the first 10 minutes. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and do that for the first 10 minutes. And then you'll feel your body probably go to sleep after that, and then you just breathe in through your nose, and you get to a deeper state. You go down in levels of consciousness, and then that's when you can connect with the higher source or whatever. It's a whole meditating is a whole art in itself. But if you do a guided meditation, they tell you what to do at each step of the meditation, and then they tell you and they point you to certain things. They say go to a place, see yourself as a little kid. And I did this when I was in Chicago, and my girlfriend suggested to me, and she sent me the YouTube video, and she left the room, and I did it in the room. And she came back at the end of the room, and I was just bawling my eyes out, bro. I was bawling. I was crying so crazy because I took myself back to a time where I was getting abused as a kid. And I went there. I was an adult, and I'm like bigger and stronger. And I saw my dad, and I'm actually taller than him. I'm stronger than him. And I pulled myself aside and said, "No, we're not doing this anymore. And I'm protecting you." I said, "No, I love you. We're going to do this." And then we left. And they said walk to a field and walk to the light and just, you know. And in that moment, I just cried my ass off. I just cried because I finally felt safe. I finally felt like I was healing. And yeah, that was powerful for me. I felt like I noticed my body start to look a little better after that time because I feel like I healed a little bit. And then even just recently, I'm going through these struggles in my business, like not a few months ago, and I did inner child healing again. I'm trying to, like, what do I charge? Like, how do I put a price on it? How do I become open to receiving? It's all about open to receiving. If you feel like you're not good enough to receive, people will try to pay you. People will try to give you money, and you say, no, 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 I'm good. No, no, you know what? It's free. You know what? No, no, no. I can't take that. I can't take that. So many people, the gods bless them, and they're saying, no, no, I can't take that. No, no, no. Trust me, I can't take that. All the people at the grocery store, you see the videos, people trying to hand out money. They're like, oh, I couldn't take this. But when you love yourself and when you heal some of those areas in business or whatever, you say, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, I appreciate it. Oh, thank you. You just say thank you. That's it. You just, on Christmas, you get the present. You say thank you so much. I'm so excited about this. I love this. And when you change your thoughts, from what I've noticed, you change your thoughts towards things. And this has happened to me. Is like, good things start coming in. I get money here. I get money there. I get opportunities here. People call me there. And instead of me saying, no, 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 I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So that has helped me a lot when it comes to business opportunities, charging more, and just in general. I think we gotta love ourselves. Some people are born with it. Some people got the love of both parents when they were younger. Some people, got the love of everybody when they're younger. Some people got everything they wanted. That wasn't me. So I got to go through it, and I gotta be the one to give myself love, and then I can get to a point where I can give it away to everybody else. So
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's
yeah, I'm gonna take this dog out really quick, but I'm gonna stay on.
Oh, I can pause it because I'm gonna go to the
Dog's
bathroom.
barking. Okay.
I'll be back in a second. Is that Leo?
Leo and Maui.
Oh, what's up?
Huge dog.
I
All
gotta
right,
get
I'm
it
gonna
done.
do the final part of the pod from out here. See if it works. Let's see. Oh yes, sir. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good to go. You
Let's
can resume it.
go.
All right, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. no, like I was saying, no, I appreciate you sharing that because that, that's extremely valuable, and I appreciate you being vulnerable like that because it's I think that's part of both of what we do is is being willing to share, being willing to, kind of like open up about your past experience because for both of us, it's those experiences are what's kind of led us to where we are now and how we help the people we help. So yeah, I think that's extremely valuable for so many people and not even myself, just like listening and all that. It's yeah, that's helpful. Like I'm interested too, because I was listening to you talk and I was like thinking back like 2016 Richmond dorms and like throughout the time I we knew each other in college, there was like felt like there was like a point where you were just you were quarterback Tom and one of the teammates and then like something happened and you were like wise Dom. I don't know how to describe it. Like it was like there was some
Mm,
like transition. Like when did that happen? Because I'm interested. Because listening to you right now, it's like it's so fascinating, and like everything you're saying is like it just is. I don't know. It's extremely insightful, and and obviously you've always had these like thoughts and feelings, and like clear as an older brother and all these times. But like it seems like something kind of transitioned sometime during college, at least that I saw. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I do know what you're talking about. Um, yes, I woke up, and that happened for me when I met somebody. I met a girl. It doesn't happen always when you meet somebody, but sometimes something you can go through something or you can read something and then it happens for you. But I met a girl, and she was oddly familiar and oddly similar to me, and very successful. Family was very successful. And it was the first time where I felt like I wasn't good enough for somebody, a girl specifically. And I I learned so much for her in such a short amount of time being with her. I dated her for a little bit, and I just learned so much about myself. I saw all my flaws. I saw everything that was wrong with me. And um, yeah, I some people call it a twin flame relationship. If you look into like spiritual communities and people that are often accused of as being woo woo, you know, I don't share it a lot, but um, I had no way of describing what I was going through. I just it's my story, so I'm not gonna say, oh, one day I just started and I said I wanted to be better. No, no, no. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I met her, and she's just very intelligent, very um, just held herself to such a high standard, and I realized I hold myself to a higher standard, and I in twin flame relationships, from what I've read, from what I've seen, is they can spark that in you. They can cause you to want to wake up. They can cause you to want to be better, rethink your life, and stuff like that. So I went home for winter. That's when COVID just started. And that's the first, I went through that time where I was so depressed. I was thinking about things. I started looking into all these conspiracies, and I started to just think about life differently. And then I was depressed. I wanted to kill myself. I was pacing back and forth in the bathroom. I didn't know, I started to go to a therapist, and I just started to think about life, red pill, whatever you want to call it. I just started to think about life different. And then, yeah, that's what kind of happened. She kind of sparked it in me. We ended up breaking up, and I've been on a journey ever since. I changed. I started changed what I was eating. I changed what I was drinking. I changed. I gave up alcohol. I gave up smoking weed. I started to read books instead of watching Netflix. I started to journal instead of playing video games. And um, since that point, I don't think I've had a TV in my room. I've just been, everything's changed, and none of my family has changed. And none of, it's like when that happens for you, it's like you're the only one. You're going crazy because nobody else around you else is doing it. And, but it's just what I knew I needed to do. And it's my experience. I can't describe her. I can't describe what happened to me. I can't describe why it happened to me. It's part of the journey.
Hmm.
It's part of the journey that I'm on. And it's my truth. So that's what happened to me, anyways. I'm curious how it happened for you, or if there's a time when you noticed something changed for you,
Yeah.
or if you've
Um,
gone through a similar experience.
oh man. Yeah. I think it's a continual process, which is sometimes it's sometimes very difficult to realize. Um, yeah, it happened a few times for me. And it's still happening now. Where you keep getting woken up more. You think you're finally like understanding and you never fully do, and then you see the next thing and it's like, whoa. But initially, um, for me, yeah, it's a multi-stage process, but initially, I think it goes back to sophomore, junior year of high school for me when I started to wake up a little bit. And I was thinking, especially before I started to really do much in sports, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like a sophomore in high school, and I was like, man, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm not really good at any sports. I'm not good at school. I failed my math final, didn't even pass sophomore year math. I'm like, I don't know, like, what's next? Like, I don't know what's going on. But within me, I always kind of felt just like a bullshit detector. And I was just like, some of this stuff is like, and I knew I was bullshitting myself sometimes too, with the people around me. Like, I wasn't, so I could feel it within myself too. And that alarm was going off both outside and inside. And even back to like seventh grade, like my first like thing I really cared passionately about was like, who killed JFK? Like, I don't, all
Mm,
this, like, I just always found it like very interesting. Like, I would go for lunch every day and just study and like read encyclopedias and books and like, and I came to, in seventh grade, I was like, CIA did it. And now I think it's deeper than that. But like, so then through high school, I was starting to feel like that, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna apply myself. Like, I guess, and then like sports would happen, and got the junior year, and like my mom got sick, so that forced me to grow and
mm,
take a bigger role for my brothers. But that was just like a growth process. That wasn't really me waking up. And then senior year, I believe, I was in like government class, and I love to do um, political debates, and it was really interesting to me because that was the year 20 that was in 20 what was it, a year before the 2016 presidential election. And all of that was just interesting because that was the first time I looked into politics. Um, I've always just seen like before then was always seeing like mainstream news and all that. But I never really paid attention, nor did I care. I always just felt like there's like I don't know how I don't believe it. Like
mm-hmm.
just didn't make sense to me. I was like, why? I don't know. It's just weird. It didn't make sense. And then the more I started reading history and like talking in class, and people would just believe things, but it was like, why? Like, why do you like why do you believe this? Just because somebody said so? And then like, so that definitely started me up to that during that time of an election. And like, why are all these people supporting? In that time, I think it was Hillary. And I wasn't even I'm still independent. I was independent then, and I was just like, I don't like, I'm confused. One side's bad, one side's good. Everyone, it just seems to agree. But then you look at the backgrounds, and I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then like creating racial divide too. Like that didn't make sense to me because we both played sports and I had friends with different color and I was like, I don't understand like all this being pitted against. And there, of course, there's like racist people, but I was just like, it didn't. Some of this felt manufactured, um, and like almost trying to, you know, like create issues that didn't exist to then force people to act a certain way or believe a certain thing. So that made me start to think more because I was like, man, this doesn't like make sense to me. And then what started waking me up more. I went to before senior high school this thing called Boys State, which is like it was intense. It was
Mm-hmm.
a week and you're just it was in Morrisville. It's like in middle of New York in like the mountains and it's just or like I guess hills more than mountains. But it was cool environment. I had like this I was in a group of like 20, 30 guys and we had like our Marine who was in charge of us and we do PT in the morning and like if we didn't make our bed right, like this dude would flip out. Like, I remember and
Mm.
like the other Marines weren't as like crazy, but this dude was like he was like Derek Paul, he was this short Hawaiian dude. And like just you were afraid of him and everyone
He's
was
on
bigger
your
than him, but
ass.
it was just like, yeah, you were just like I remember somebody didn't make their bed right and we are outside like in line for PT in the morning and then we like look up and we just see a bed flying out the window, like fourth story. Just flew out the window.
Wow.
He just chucked.
Holy.
We were like, oh shit. Like but like just the ownership aspect, like of just like you're a man, like you don't do stuff like half-ass. Like you gotta like how you do one thing is how you do everything type mindset. And I was like, dang,
Mm-hmm.
like that hit me. And then coming to college and continually politics was something that started out. So I started questioning that, but then it led into so many other things questioning. And and then like looking at myself and be like, well, if I like see this BS, but like I don't address myself, my own
Mm.
BS, like how can I like how can I like be like, oh, you know what I mean? It's in the Bible, you see a speck in somebody's eye, but you have a log in yours, kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
And that was and Jesus talks about the hypocrites and stuff like that. And it was like and as I got more involved in FCA throughout my time at UB, like we're making sure that first and foremost, I wasn't being a hypocrite and anything I was saying to teammates or family or myself, like I was practicing that. And then continued on and continued just to be skeptical and continue to just look more at facts rather than being told. Similar to that Bruce Lee quote again, like take what is useful, discard what is not, make it your own. And even like I remember, um, I was doing community mental health was my major, minor in counseling, and I was always fascinated with just different things. Like I was interested in uh, aspect of psychedelics for whether it's mental health issues or how to treat uh, brain trauma because as a football player, I knew I was taking brain trauma if they weren't diagnosed concussions, but I knew I was getting my bell rung consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was really interested in that too, and that was something that kind of weighed on me. So um, I was always skeptical of what I was told, and even like I did a project, I remember on like the flu vaccine, and like looked into actual research, and this was like 2018, 2017, 2018, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why does everyone take this? And
Yeah.
I did a whole speech on it for like half an hour. And my professor was like, that was a great speech, but like you can't spread whatever medical. So I got an A minus because it wasn't like factual. But I was like,
Gotcha.
all I did was had facts. Like I didn't like these aren't my opinions got formed
Yeah.
from just reading facts and that not being like allowed or not being that being punished somehow didn't make sense to me. Um, and then just continuing COVID where that like to the nth degree happened, and that was like the full wake up call. Um, and throughout that time personally, of course, like like relationship wise for me at least, that like knowing you're not in the right situations for multiple like just relationships throughout life and knowing like okay, like you've got to make the hard choice and move on kind of thing because like that BS detector's going in within yourself. Like you know this is like what you're
Hmm.
doing isn't true to you. And then knowing a lot of stuff without outside of it and things being told aren't true. So just the truth became so important and that became like the foundation. Really from the reading the Bible and having like a just a foundation of character was important for me to form. And that was truth, service, and love. And those are things that have stuck with me for years. And that's
Yeah.
still what I go through every day. Like those are my three things that make sure truth, service, and love is kind of just internally what I always focus on when I'm journaling. That's always something I'm prioritizing. Like I'm hitting all those aspects, and and that's been difficult because with love comes forgiveness. And when you wake up, some things can be very frustrating. Um, and you've been told lies or and maybe but the people who told you them didn't even really they didn't look into it enough to know it was a lie. So you blame them, but it's really not as much their fault. And that's like I was talking about the COVID vaccine earlier, and it's really like the people. It's not like the staff there, and like it's deeper than that. It's not like it's forgiving that because it's
Yeah.
um it goes much deeper. And but COVID definitely was another time we're continually like waking up, and and that was a process because it started out. I remember listening to Rogan's podcast. I think he had Brett Weinstein on. And he's like, yeah, like 20% of people could die. And I was like, what? And I remember like actually feeling like frightened. Like I was like, okay, this is actually serious. Like I initially was like, whoa. And then pretty soon after was like, man, this is BS. Like what is going on? And I remember because that happened in March. We were in spring ball. And by May I went down to Nashville and was like I went on a whole road trip around down to Texas. And like
Yeah.
I was like, this is like, I got to get out of here. Like, I can't be like quarantined and stuff. And then just seeing how other people were living, and then that travel aspect too, of seeing different cultures, seeing different people, seeing different environments, helped me wake up even more because it was just, yeah, it was, so that's kind of it continued into that. And then,
Well,
yeah, all the vaccine stuff just made me question, and then looking into who funds politicians, who funds medicine, was really interesting to me. So then I really became distrustful of any kind of major conclusions that are basically widely accepted. And really like investigating that for myself rather than just taking what's being told and what's commonly accepted as gospel. And then starting to read George Orwell. My dad always talked about the book 1984 and how and many modern parallels, and reading into that, and Animal Farm and a bunch of other, really basically all of Orwell's books. And then seeing like, whoa, like this is extremely similar, eerily similar. And that was another continual process. And then that post football, you talk about like in your book, the second act, and like waking up. And then it was for me, like post football, it was almost re waking up. And I kind of went through that process earlier of how that happened for me, and knowing what I had to do, but not, like we said, refusing the call
hmm.
initially. And that was another process. And I had similar times like you where I was very depressed and thought about um, all those similar things, and kind of figuring out how to how to like work through that, but knowing like having faith inside that, like I'm trying my best. Like I'm like I wasn't acting my like I could have acted better, like taking actual leaps, but like I don't know. I had faith that I was like a good person. Um, but it felt like there was, and that's when it came in like 2023. Um, kind of had another wake up, and that was more
Yeah.
love focused. That was kind of helped me spiritually kind of wake up. And after those dark times, waking up and feeling the love and realizing how important that is, and forgiveness, and then that's continued on, and going to Oregon was a massive part too, and meeting so many different people, and um, I'm sure similar to you when you worked in Chicago, but I worked with a lot of people who were in uh, federal prison, and all different type people. That was just um, another wake up, and that
Mhm.
and that was and changing that environment was continual, and coaching at Wagner and living in New York City was continual wake ups of meeting people and realizing they didn't want to coach. That was a wake up, because it's waking up to what actually this institution, this thing is. Um, I was just continuing to, like, basically almost seeing for myself, like, what you think is true is not true, and then accepting that, forgiving that, and then moving forward. And then even
Yeah.
now, like, you know, coming kind of full circle thing, and coming back to Washington, New York after a lot of time away and traveling, and then like almost same thing with politics, being like reawoken
You cut
again.
out.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me?
How about now? There we go. Got it. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Okay. So like, yeah, I came back here, and then it's been like the past few months has been like a big awakening health wise. Um, when health gets taken away, you realize how precious it is. Um, realizing, I saw that from a young age, losing a lot of young family members, who I was close to at a young age. That was like in that relate, and then I was kind of in those shoes. Where I was like, man, I might be, and it was tough for me to share with people because I didn't really know much, so I didn't really have many answers. But and then and then for me, it's even happened more. So thinking and seeing, I guess, politically what's going on with wars and and then like all that stuff, just how and Smedley Butler's got a really good book about that, about war, but just how that's justified, which didn't make sense to me. Um, and then like even looking into like who wrote the Bible, or who rewrote it, um, and history is told by the victors, and looking into things like Tartaria or civilizations that
Mhm.
um, existed before throughout time, which has been really interesting too. And so it's been a continual process, and it's still one I'm working through for sure.
Yeah. But you
But
said a
that's
quote though.
yeah.
You said a quote by Bruce Lee. What was the quote?
Um, oh, let me pull it up because I feel like I'm butchering it right now.
You said it
Um,
twice today.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now. So it is. Oh, here it is. It is absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is specifically your own.
Mm, that's a
Yeah,
profound quote.
yeah, it's a bar.
That is a profound quote. That quote, I think, can help people that are awakening, going through the awakening process. Because I think there's phases to awakening. I think there's
Yeah,
the dark night. There's a dark night phase where you hate everything, you realize everything's a scam, you hate
yeah,
everybody, everybody's a sheep. It's like you go through this whole thing. And then you're like, all right, what am I going to do about this? And you're like, all right, screw everybody. I want to change the world. I want to go against what everybody else has ever done and all this other things. And then you might go through the phase where you realize, okay, but in order to, I can't totally rebel because I want to help other people with this. So I need to like do something that people get along with, or that want, or that they want, or that still fits in, but do it in a way that guides them towards things, right? And that's just very profound quote right there. Very profound. Take what's useful. Some people say use your own discernment.
Yep.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot.
Pray for discernment.
So yeah, and when I hear the word truth, I used to consider myself a truth seeker. And I used to consider myself a truth seeker. I used to say I'm seeking for the truth. I want the answers. And you read a book on money, and I want to know like how are people actually making money? I read a book on money, they say one thing, and I read another book, and they're saying another thing. Well, these are both best-selling books. They both made $1 million. Which one's right?
Yeah.
One person's telling me I need to invest, and I need to invest small amounts, and then by the time I'm older, I'll be a millionaire. The other person's telling me I need to create a product, and if I create a product, I can sell it and making tons of money really quickly. Okay. The other person's telling me I need to figure out my best way of service. So it's like, and one book's written this year. So it's like, I think we're going to encounter, and even if you look at social media right now, Elon Musk owns X, right? And who owns Instagram? Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's people, right? So it's just so interesting. You go on Instagram, and they're slaughtering Donald Trump and Elon Musk and making him seem terrible and everything like that. And you go on Twitter and you see all this content making Donald Trump and Elon Musk seem like the greatest people ever and everything, and making Facebook and all those guys look shitty. So it's like, you have to understand and have your own discernment and realize people own, who owns it? Where is it coming from? Where's the source? First principles thinking. Where is this coming from? Where's the money coming from? Where's the information coming from? Where is it coming from? And that's why I love the quote. What's useful? Probably about 10% of what you consume. Discard the other 90% and add in through your own filter, through your own vessel, through your own way of creation, something that when somebody comes across it, they realize this is the 10% of useful shit out there. There's not a lot of useful shit. A lot of it's bullshit. A lot of it's, fake. But when somebody comes across, because you consumed and you discard the 90%, you can put that 10% through Clank's personal experiences, through what you understand the world to be. And just like you read somebody else's book, and just like you paid for somebody else's mentorship and you invest in yourself, somebody's going to do the same, and you're attracting like-minded people when you do that. So I think it's profound. I think this world will always be corrupt, Clank, unfortunately. I think we're going to die, and I think there's going to be corruption in the world, right? People are still going to be selling drugs for a living, but calling it medication, right? People
Yep.
are still going to be selling processed garbage to people that's killing people, but they want to make money on it, and they're going to call it food, right? People are still going to create music that they say is awesome in music, but it's really programming you to have a lower vibration and think less of yourself and everything like that. So it's going to be there. We're going to die. It's still going to be there, right?
Of course.
So it's that quote though. That quote's sticking with me. You've said it multiple times. It's come out multiple times. It's so profound. Sometimes some of the most profound things are in the shortest of sentences. So profound, so interesting. So interesting. Some of the wisest people don't say things directly, but they say things where you have to read it between the lines. And when you come across somebody, you can recognize, oh, you see shit too, huh? Oh, okay. I see shit too. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. It's going to be there. It's unfortunate, but I try. I used to concern myself about it with a lot. I used to get mad about it. I used to want to change it all, and now I realize I can do what I can do to be a better force for good. Because bad's always going to be there, but if God's calling certain people to be a force for good, and they're not being a force for good because of their own fears and because of their own insecurities, and I'm not a person that faces those things so I can become a force for good, then I'm actually a force for the other side because I'm not doing what God's calling me to do. So it's hard. It's the hardest part. It's hard. I posted a quote the other day. I've heard it multiple times on social media. It's the road to heaven feels like hell. The road to hell feels like heaven. Profound. That awakening process is so important, though. I believe God wants all of us to wake up and to live and to be our best selves. I believe that. So, and I do think there's a difference between waking up and woke culture. I do think there's a difference. I do think what they promote woke culture to be is a little bit different than the enlightenment process. I think the enlightenment process is important. That's my opinion, though. So, what good conversations, though. What good topics. What a gold mine of information somebody might stumble across when they listen to this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, I appreciate you for coming on. This has been a blast, and I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And um, I encourage everyone to just continue to, you know, to absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. And um, Dom, I appreciate you coming on. Where can everybody find you if they're looking for help transitioning uh, from their time as an athlete, or if they're looking for speakers and all of that? Where can they find and contact you?
Instagram, Dom Johnson instead of a J, it's number one. They can look at the website, sparkcoaching.com without the G. And yeah, tune in. We got a
Perfect.
podcast. Starting to get into the podcast a little bit more. Seasons with Dom. A little bit hard to find right now. We're only on Spotify, but hopefully that starts to go well. And yeah, that's where they can find me.
Perfect.
Pleasure's mine, brother. Thank you for having me on here. We always have great conversations too. It's open-minded conversations with deep thinkers. People on your same level are not easy to come by. So it's great to have one.
It is. It's refreshing, and no, I appreciate it, man. I'll leave in the description of this. I'll make sure to have all that information as well. And guys, if you're looking for help, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of former athletes here. Reach out to Dom. I always share your contact information with all my clients as well. Um, Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, and everybody, I hope you enjoyed.